A glimpse into the findings of the Madlanga Commission. Part of the findings were that 14 SAPS and EMPD officers should be referred to the NPA after testimony revealed possible signs of wrongdoing. The second report, which will be handed over today, will focus on testimony from 32 witnesses who testified about corruption in various law enforcement agencies. The Commission still has to turn its attention to the NPA, the judiciary and the State Security Agency in the 3 months it has remaining. Only the final report, which the Commission is expected to hand over to the President at the end of August, will be made public with its findings and recommendations. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Discrepancies have emerged in the reported value of a major drug seizure at the Beitbridge port of entry. Earlier today, Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber and Border Management Authority Commissioner Michael Masiapato announced that nearly R1 billion worth of methaqualone, commonly known as ABBA, was intercepted in a truck traveling from Malawi into South Africa via Zimbabwe. The estimated street value given was about R1 billion. But the figure announced by authorities and the valuation presented in court differ. Demakatso Leshuro reports.
The BMA head, Dr. Michael Masiapato, and Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber told the media that about 713,000 grams of the substance used in the manufacture of Mandrex was found hidden inside a compartment in the truck. This is what the minister said.
The single biggest breakthrough against the drug trade in South African history. Law enforcement intercepted a drug consignment valued at nearly R1 billion at the Beitbridge port of entry.
The 2 Malawian nationals and 1 Zambian national appeared at the Musina Magistrates Court. However, during their appearance, the prosecutor told the court that the value of the seized drugs was approximately R34 million, significantly lower than the earlier figure presented by officials. EWN has reached out to the Border Management Authority and the Hawks for clarity. The Hawks have referred us to the BMA. We await confirmation. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has urged the leadership of the beleaguered Ditsobotla municipality to take responsibility for the crisis the entity is in. Godongwana handed over National Treasury's financial recovery plan for the northwest-based municipality today. The municipality is obligated to implement this plan as it's currently under administration. Thabiso Goba reports.
The financial recovery plan outlines the dysfunction of the Ditsobotla municipality. For the past 5 years, the municipality has been passing unfunded budgets. It has a R2.1 billion cash deficit and low revenue collection rates. Ditsobotla Mayor Morutsi Mulife admits they need help.
Help us unlock financial support and improve our cash flow. Help us to rehabilitate aging infrastructure and restore reliable services. Help us to rebuild confidence in local government.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is in the municipality with a plan to save its future. But Godongwana says the financial recovery strategy is useless without political and administrative will to implement it.
One of the things I'm picking up from you are refusing to accept that the people who have been elected by the Ditsobotla community is you, not Enoch Godongwana. It must sink in your mind that the responsibility for changing Ditsobotla is yours.
The finance minister has vowed to be back in 3 months for a progress report on the plan. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Northwest.
And NPO Fundawande says their research shows there's a need to be a focus on strengthening teacher support systems in order to implement mother tongue bilingual learning. The organization developed a teaching model called Teacher Professional Development through a partnership with Wits University. Today, the two parties released their research findings from a 2024 study, along with suggested solutions for schools in Limpopo and KwaZulu-Natal. The research is focused on addressing poor learning outcomes in foundation and intermediate phases. Fundawande's Julia Maputa says in order to do that, they provided teachers with training every quarter. She says they also give teachers guidance through scripted lessons in line with the Education Department's curriculum and assessment policy statement.
The first thing that we provide is the relevant resources that we have developed as an organization for them to use in their classrooms. Apart from giving them these resources, we train them on how these resources can be optimally utilized. Because just provision of resources alone and leaving the teachers outside might not bear any fruit.
In your financials, gold is trading at $4,517.58 an ounce. The rand is 16.23 to the dollar, 21.79 to the pound, and 18.90 to the euro. Brent crude oil is $92.28 a barrel.
Leaving Sandton, heading towards Midrand, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the M1 northbound. This is between Greyston Drive and the Patlu interchange. Also, slow-moving traffic still if you are heading towards Bedford View. This is in the Edenvale area, R24 westbound, between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange, while in Devland there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12.
And in your sport, the Proteas and Zimbabwe women have announced the historic T20 series. Bradley Cross speaks on Bafana's selection for FIFA World Cup, and Novak Djokovic laments the French Open heat.
It's clear skies in Gauteng today. Temperatures peaked at highs of between 23 and 25 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry will hand over its second interim report to President Cyril Ramaphosa this afternoon.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy that connects us all.
That's what makes this one so special.
In 702, Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It is 8 minutes past 3 on Friday, the 29th of May. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you're listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. Large areas of Joburg are going to be without water for long periods of time. What are the repairs meant to fix, and how do we judge whether they've been a success? We'll hear from Rand Water shortly in this half hour. Government shared more details this morning of the border post bust that led to the seizure of nearly R1 billion worth of illegal drugs.
We have been doing a lot of work building what we call the National Border Targeting Center. So this is supposed to be the brains behind the work of the frontline colleagues on the ground in terms of the work that they do. Exactly as the Minister had indicated, we are seeking to create a model through which we do not necessarily work by guesswork, but we work by empirical data that is being fed into the ecosystem by a multiplicity of, I would say, structures, individuals, and the rest of the role players in the environment.
Yeah, and don't forget the guys with the angle grinders. That was Dr. Mike Masiapato, Commissioner of the Border Management Authority. The briefing he gave today with Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber included a description of how the truck that they intercepted had an internal steel, I think it was, certainly metal, container in which the drugs were kept. It took 8 hours to dismantle that. So seizing the drugs, an important and laudable step, but that kind of seizure doesn't always lead to the arrest of the kingpins behind the shipment. What needs to happen next for that to change? Investigator Chad Thomas joins us to share his thoughts at 10 to 4. Remember the listeriosis outbreak, a tragedy at the time, a tragedy that continues in the lives of many young people whose health has been profoundly damaged. Many, many years ago it was that it happened, but still no meaningful justice in the courts. There was, however, an important development on this issue in the Joburg High Court this week. More on that at 10 past 4 with lawyer Richard Spoor, who's been pursuing the matter over the years. And because it's Friday, we'll finish the show sharing food, talking about books and listening to music with a man who himself has a brand new album coming out.
Oh, sweet perfume ever tortured me more than this. Now she turns swishing moves in the logic of all my dreams. This fire burns I realize that
if you think you're hearing Sting there, well, that's because you are, but you haven't heard Sting when his music has been given the Zakes Bantwini treatment. Zakes is with us in the 702 Drive studio at 20 to 6. On the markets, the JSE started in the black today, but has slipped over the past hour. The all-share currently down by 215 points. Dischem having a torrid time of it today, down 8.9%. Pick and Pay's lost 4.2%. Telkom is off by 3.2%. Much better day for Aspen, which is up by 8.8%. Life Healthcare has gained 4.2%, and Telkom is up by 3.2%. Gold price has picked up nicely today, up by $53.97. Platinum remains a little bit weak, though, down by $3.74. Very good performance by the rand so far. On this Friday, a euro will cost you 18 rand 89. That's a gain of 11 cents. 21 rand 78 will get you a pound. The rand better against sterling by 14 cents. Stephen Curtis joining us with all the market news at 25 past 4. We'll bring you the sport. That's with Anthony Teixeira. That is at about 20 minutes to 4. Karabo Chale in a moment with the very latest traffic news on a day when the traffic tends to build a little bit earlier. And Zingisa Chirwa, who you heard a moment ago, back at 3:30 with the latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live. We are looking for every bit of breaking news, keeping an eye on various platforms. Of course, the EWN team is doing the same, but your eyes and ears invaluable to us, because you hear things, see things, notice things that perhaps we're not picking up. If you've got something you want to guide us towards, if you've got something you want to steer us away from, give us a call on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. 702 Drive, it's 13 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, one of the nice things about it being the weekend is that you can sleep in. I'm getting some skeptical looks from people who know that, well, you can only sleep in as long as it takes for the kids or kid in your house to come tapping on the door and shaking you awake. But during the week, we all have ways in which we need to wake up. I have to say, I almost never need an alarm clock. I always just wake up. And I wake up pretty much at the time when I need to wake up. Occasionally, if I haven't slept well, I might put on an alarm clock because I'm going to try and grab an extra half an hour. But we all have ways in which we hate to be woken up. For some people, it's not always as relatively benign as this noise. That's an alarm clock? Okay. Well, they've obviously improved since my day. Now with phones, I mean, you can wake up to virtually anything. But all of us, I think, have either current experience of or certainly recent memories of being woken up in very, very jarring ways by people who seem to think that perhaps you've slept too late. Rifue Letsua looks like she's bracing herself for something. Is there a memory there that's coming back?
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. You know, when I share some aspects of my childhood with other people, they think I'm making it up. I'm not. I'm telling the truth. Okay, so my mom and dad, this is how they would wake us up. So my mom would start, because my mom is Swati.
Do people need to pull over to the side of the road if they're driving?
It's going to get a bit loud.
Okay, it's going to get loud and it's rough.
Slightly away from the mic, because I don't want to deafen people.
Okay.
This is my mother. Vugani! Vugani! And it gets louder. So Vugani means wake up, wake up. And it gets louder and louder. And my father, he would take, a pan or a pot and take a teaspoon or whatever utensil, starts drumming on it. And my mom is continuing, Vugani! They're having the time of their lives. My dad would laugh because he could never take anything seriously. And that was really traumatic. I mean, no one wants to be woken up at 6 a.m. with Vugani! Vugani! So it always felt like I was at a military base of some sort.
Yes.
Yeah. She still does it to this day.
Did your dad have any rhythm on the pot, or was it just bang, bang, bang?
It was bang, bang, bang. Okay. Sometimes he would do, if we weren't waking up to the pot thing, he would use the door. I think he was just like, my dad was in a band also, remember? So it was like the pot, da, 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 and the door.
He was the drummer.
But he was the drummer, Vugani,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, you obviously didn't sleep in, so that
Never.
no, but I must admit that sounds rough. Now, if any of you were watching us on our YouTube feed, you would have seen when we got that Vokani, and I'm not even going to try and do it. Karabo Chale he actually moved away. He turned his head to one side. So the one advantage of watching us on YouTube, by the way, just to quickly throw this in, is you get to see some of that, which you may not always pick up from the radio. But I think some of you were also recoiling as well. Ways in which you're woken up or get woken up now that you don't particularly like?
So my mother would come into my room and say, wake up, it's morning now, we have to go to school. And maybe I wouldn't heed the call, I'll carry on sleeping. And then she'll just take the pillow, not the blanket.
Yes.
She'll pull the blanket and take it to the other room. So obviously you'll be stuck there.
I would have
all cold.
preferred that any day, John.
But you, in winter with no blankets, you're gonna wake up. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got she started off nicely, hey?
Yeah.
Yes.
You got a yellow card.
Yes.
So you knew where you stood.
Then the red card.
The blanket, red card. You can't be surprised that you had to get up and go. Okay, so we've got a few examples. I've always just pretty much woken up, I don't know what it is about me. But I'm sure you've got your stories. Ways in which you were woken up that you hated, or ways in which you get woken up now that you don't particularly care for. And of course, animals sometimes get involved. Children may come in and disturb what is asleep. And I'm raising this because I know lying in on the weekend is not going to be an option for everybody. But let's talk about sleeping and then getting woken up. 072 702 1702 and 011 8830 702. 18 minutes past 3. Let's get the latest from out on the roads. Hopefully not too bad as yet.
Yes, John, not that bad at all. No accidents have been reported at this hour. However, it is peak hour traffic, so expect some delays leaving the Sandton area heading towards Midrand on the M1 northbound between Grayston and the N1 Ellendale off-ramp in Edenville. Expect some delays as well. This is on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange, while in Devland, slow-moving traffic. This is on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Have you ever been a victim of crime, and how did you react when it happened? Did you manage to keep your composure? Rodney, good morning.
Yes, Clement. I was hijacked a car, and then I was hijacked in Shashanguve, and then I was living in Sunnyside. Now they saw that I no longer have money in my account. They had to give me around 20 rand that I must take a taxi back to town. Yeah,
Oh, shame. They're so considerate.
Yeah, that's very fine after that, yeah.
Guys, is that like a strategy of the criminals to show a bit of consideration? Huh? Is that what they do now? They come for what they need and then they don't want to leave you just desperate. They'll still try help you out. So interesting.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
So, the payments game has totally changed and businesses can now score with the new FNB Speedpoint range.
That's great news for business owners.
You get a low commission rate starting from 1.8% that drops to as low as 0.6% as your business grows.
I want to play for this winning team.
Get in the payments game with a bank that rewards your business for doing well. FNB, help changes everything. First National Bank, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Hey, we buy cars. How does it work if I want to sell my car?
We'll drive to your place. You can visit our pods. Even if you don't have space, then at the mall in a parking lot, we've got lots of depots all across the land. Contact We Buy Cars. You're in safe hands. Safe hands.
Wow, that's great.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
Doing your famous through meetings, in traffic, at the store. Don't let seasonal hay fever get in the way of a better you. Unite against allergies with Demazin once a day, providing 24-hour non-sedating relief from symptoms like a runny nose, sneezing, and itchy red eyes. Demazin gets it done. Speak to your pharmacist today about Demazin once a day.
You have insurance, just in case. A spare tire, just in case. But when it comes to cash flow, most businesses wait until it's too late. Bridgement gives you business funding on standby, so timing doesn't decide for you. Get access to up to 10 million rand. No cost to apply or keep it in place. Use it when you need it. Free when you don't. Apply online at bridgement.com. Bridgement. Business funding simplified.
On Sunday, 26 July, the entire city unites for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk.
Walk the talk.
And because Joburg is more than just a city, we'll be walking for the people. So join us and help make a difference to homelessness in the city by entering on primemediaplus.com and donating vouchers.
Donate the voucher.
Which is a cashless way to give, helping people experiencing homelessness access a hot shower, a meal, a bed, or more support. Anybody can join and everybody can donate. 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter and donate now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Let's focus our attention now on the Northwest Province, specifically on the I thought we were going to be talking about the Ditsobotla municipality, but that story, we're just struggling to get hold of our EWN reporter colleague, Tabiso Gorba. Let's bring it closer to Gauteng, then Joburg in particular. Water interruptions for Johannesburg residents. That's because Rand Water is planning maintenance at its Palmit and Zakebos systems. There'll be water supply interruptions spread out over a while, but the first round of maintenance, I think, is beginning today. Let's get an update on that and welcome to 702 Drive Makanosi Maru, who is spokesperson for Rand Water. Ms. Maru, welcome and thanks very much for your time. What's getting fixed? How long will it take and who's affected? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Dr. John. Good afternoon to your listeners. We did start this morning at 7 o'clock. A number of municipalities will be impacted. So the maintenance work has been scheduled into phases. So we have phase 1, which started this morning. It will run up until the 2nd of June.
Okay.
Then later in July, from the 17th of July up until the 19th of July, we'll have the second phase of the maintenance.
Okay, it's called planned maintenance. Is that true of every single thing you're doing? Or is some of it things that while you're fixing, perhaps replacing a part or part of a system that, whose time has come to the end of its life, you're trying to do some other things as well, taking advantage of a general shutdown?
That's correct. Initially, it was Eskom that was undertaking maintenance work. So we had a meeting with Eskom and we realized that it's a perfect time for us also as Rainwater. Instead of us having our own separate maintenance, let's work together. While they're doing the maintenance, we'll also do our maintenance as Rainwater. But with regards to the planned maintenance, we always have a maintenance twice a year when we know that the consumption is low. During winter time, also towards the end of the year, because we know businesses are closing off for December holidays. So we do have planned maintenance. And then throughout the year, sometimes people don't even know that we are conducting maintenance. We are changing valves. We are changing meters, bulk meters. The supply is not impacted, but work is continuously in terms of infrastructure maintenance.
What evaluation do you do on planned maintenance? And let me explain the context of my question, Ms. Maru. I think if people felt that this was a generally reliable water provision system, they would accept that sometimes you've got to, take it offline. You've got to take a car in for service, to use an analogy. I think where a lot of the unhappiness arises is that people are without water on a regular basis. So the question then for me would be this. If you evaluate the planned maintenance you've done in the past, has the stuff that's either been fixed or replaced lasted in general for as long as it was planned to last? Or are you finding you having to go back on things?
No, John. We actually go in we have a rotational cycle because we have two big purification plants. We have 4 booster stations. We have 60 reservoirs. So we are rotating our infrastructure maintenance so that we are able to maintain without really causing much of interruption with regards to the supply. So we are rotating our plans, let me put it that way. Hence, we are having infrastructure maintenance twice a year when it's not very busy. With regards to complaints that some of the residents are saying, there's ongoing challenges with regards to supply. There are localized challenges, obviously, that can be attributed to municipalities. So we should differentiate between disruptions that are temporary, that are caused by maintenance, and disruptions that are there due to localized challenges, obviously, that can be attributed to municipalities.
Let me ask the question a different way then. I mean, you are installing and upgrading motors at the Zakerbosch Raw Water Engine Room 4. Can we assume that that facility then is going to run smoothly, well, without problems for how long? 1 year, 2 years?
Look, we do manage, we do maintain. Things do happen in between, John. But for us to say in 6 months' time we'll still be working in engine room 4 or we'll still be maintaining Maplestone system, it will not be fair because look, we have replaced the parts. It's a new engine room in terms of what we have installed. So we'll be moving to another engine room. We'll be going to another system so that we rotate. We don't interrupt the supply. But the whole idea is to ensure that there is still supply, to ensure that whatever that we're installing, it lasts for longer. That's the reason why we're undertaking planned maintenance.
Makanosi Maru, thank you. Spokesperson for Rand Water, 28 minutes past 3.
Drive Home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Now, the list of municipalities that are in dire straits in South Africa is a long one. One of those considered to be one of the worst, though, is the Ditsobotla local municipality covering or located mainly in the town of Lichtenburg. The Minister of Finance was out there. They've been under administration for a while, and there is now a financial recovery plan. Tabiso Gorba, EWN reporter, was out in the Northwest following closely what has been said and what is being proposed. Tabiso, a very good afternoon to you. I don't know if the officials who got Ditsobotla deep into this mess were the ones who were handed over the recovery plan. One would hope at least some of them are no longer responsible. But how are they going to fix this? I mean, if indeed they're not, for example, replacing the people who caused the problem in the first place?
Good afternoon, John. Well, I do have to say, John, that at one point, the Ditsobotla municipality had 3 municipal managers. And that's obviously unusual, but they now currently have 1 municipal manager. At some point, they had 2 mayors and 2 speakers, so that has also been trimmed to 1, like a normal municipality. So a lot of work has been done, John. We spoke to the administrator. So there is an administration team that's now leading the municipality. So basically the political head and the administrative leadership has sort of taken a back seat now, if you can say that.
Yes.
With the administration team now being the leader of the municipality, basically every decision that the city manager makes, it has to get approval from the administrator. So that's how bad things have been at the Ditsobotla municipality, that the national government and Treasury have just come and taken over, basically. And there is a recovery plan that has been put in place. The Finance Minister, Enoch Godongwana, delivered it today, John, with the important message saying that the people of Ditsobotla elected you guys. You know, they elected you guys. They didn't elect me. They didn't elect cabinet. So for us to get to a stage where we as National Treasury are growing up your financial plans, we're putting in administrators who are basically doing your work for you, that doesn't look good, and it's not a sustainable form of governance. The minister emphasizing, John, that without any political will, without any administrative will, this financial plan is useless, and that the people who unfortunately have to lead is the people who failed the municipality. But it was more of sort of like a cajoling speech, John,
yes,
more than a policy speech, because at the end of the day, as you said, John, unfortunately, the people who did cause this crisis that Ditsobotla is at are the same people who have to take it out of it.
Thank you so much, Tabiso Gorba. I mean, one number coming out of this engagement. The municipality employs approximately 720 workers. The estimated requirement for effective service delivery is 450. So even with those massive levels of overstaffing, it seemed they were unable to actually do some of the most basic things. And some of you might remember, I think it was Clover, that was based in Lichtenburg, created a whole lot of jobs, must have added handsomely to the rates and revenue pool coming into the municipality. Eventually said, we can't do this anymore. Upton left. So that was economic opportunity absolutely trashed by the way the people who ran the municipality at the time and appear to still be running it now. That was the consequence of their actions. A whole lot of people losing their jobs. 28 minutes to 4. Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news now with Zingisa Chirwa starting down in Parliament.
Yes, John, it seems political parties have cast doubt on whether Parliament will meet its deadlines for the completion of its rebuilding project following the 2022 fire that destroyed its main buildings. During debate on Parliament's budget for the new financial year, the EFF suggested corruption on the project. Parliament's annual report indicates it reached 80% of the building targets in the previous financial year, and much of its 255 million rand positive bank balance is due to the under-expenditure on the project. Lindsay Detlinger reports.
The mammoth parliamentary rebuild by the Development Bank of Southern Africa is expected to be completed by early 2027 at a cost of 4.6 billion rand. But the DA's Michelle Clark doesn't believe the new building will be completed in time for next year's State of the Nation address, as promised.
If Parliament cannot manage its own rebuild on time and within budget, how can we hold other departments accountable for infrastructure failures?
With the EFF still pushing for the legislature to be relocated to Gauteng, MP Ompile Mautwe suspects the rebuilding project is not entirely above board.
With the information we have, which we have handed over to forensic investigators for assessment, we're confident that people will be arrested at the end of this project.
In a report tabled by the Joint Standing Committee on the Financial Management of Parliament, the missed targets have been ascribed to heritage issues that impacted the designs of the old assembly and a 35-day delay in obtaining a construction permit from the Department of Employment and Labour. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Justice Zukisa Chikli has delivered her last judgment during a special sitting of the Constitutional Court held in her honour, marking the end of an illustrious career spanning 21 years. Colleagues paid tribute to her, detailing the impact she had on various courts, including the Supreme Court of Appeal and the country's apex court. During her tenure, Justice Chikli authored several significant judgments shaping South African constitutional and labour. Mdimagadzo Leshuru reports.
Justice Zukisa Chikli's career began in 1986, followed by admission as an attorney in 1991 and worked in private practice. Chikli served for over a decade as a CCMA commissioner and bargaining council official and later became a judicial trainer before she joined the Apex Court as a permanent judge in 2019. The event was attended by judges from various courts, Justice Minister Mamuluku Kubai and NPA head advocate Andy Mutibi. Deputy Chief Justice Dustin Mlambo described Chikli as personable and a fashionista.
She sees people.
Advocate Muzisi Kakane, on behalf of Pabasa, joked that there were rumors he often appeared before the Constitutional Court just to see Justice Chikli.
Part of it is true. All I was asked to come and tell you is that we love you and your family. Thank you.
Dimakato Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
And a Russian court has sentenced a manager at the Walt Disney Company to 2.5 years in prison on drug trafficking charges. Russian state media reports the 46-year-old man was arrested at an airport in Moscow in January after customs found narcotic-laced gummy sweets in his luggage. The man reportedly told the court the medication had been legally prescribed in the United States following brain surgery. Authorities say he had traveled to Russia from Qatar. He has been convicted of drug trafficking and smuggling and sentenced to serve time in a penal colony along with a fine of 30,000 rubles. Disney has not yet commented publicly on the case. And a quick look at your weather. Gauteng will be partly cloudy tomorrow. Temperatures dropping to overnight lows of between 3 and 5 degrees and peaking at highs of between 22 and 23.
In Centurion, bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the N14 northbound between the Brakfontein interchange and Jean Avenue, while in Sandton, expect some delays heading towards Midrand on the M1 northbound between Greyston Drive and the N1 Ellendale off-ramp.
The top story in EWN. Political parties have cast doubt on whether Parliament will meet its deadlines for the completion of its rebuilding project following the 2022 fire that destroyed its main buildings.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
This is Baba Kupeka from the Val. Man, I've had a stroke and couldn't even send a comment or talk to you here on 702 WhatsApp. But at least now I can talk. Have a splendid day to everyone at 702. You can recover and survive a stroke.
It's great to hear from you, and we wish you all the best, of course, as you continue to recover. Thank you so much for sending that voice note. You really made our day.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, they say. But my toaster isn't broken exactly. It just lands my toast on the kitchen floor. You see, some things only kinda never work, like a financial plan based on generic advice. That's why Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to understand you and only then apply their expertise. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
I want another puzzle from the crazy store. 1,000 perfect pieces, but then I saw so much more. I got slippers and a blanket to keep me warm at night. Sudoku and a coffee mug and fuzzy socks that fit just right.
That's crazy, crazy. That's the crazy store. Went in for one small thing, came out with so much more.
The crazy store. Hey, you never know what you might find.
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car. And some cars say, I rented the car. Sani Sixt Rent a Car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani Sixt on sani.co.za.
It's another girl.
Families multiply, fees shouldn't. With Ultimate Banking, you get support for every chapter. Get discounted banking for your spouse and give each of your children a head start with a Mega U account. Because as your family grows, your banking should keep up. Apply online. Your story matters. ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. ABSA is an authorized financial services provider.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. Growing up as a township boy, I used to sleep in the dining room come lounge, and then, which was common at the time. I'm not sure about what's happening now, but the thing is with sleeping in the lounge or dining room is that you are always the last one to sleep, and you are the first one to wake up before any visitors coming into the house. So, over the years, growing up there, I developed instincts of waking up early on my own. And then to an extent that even now, when I sleep in a hotel, I still feel the urge to make up my bed. Kabilan, Pretoria.
Dr. John, thank you for a nice show. I love to sleep in. I really love it. When my kids were still in primary school, now at varsity. So when the cousins used to come visit and they wake up and they make a noise, they would always reprimand their cousins and say, shh, shh, mommy's sleeping, shh, shh, daddy's sleeping. And it would go on and on and on. So for me, it was that shh, shh that really now woke me up, and that was so irritating.
Hi, John in 702. With the new lotto operator coming into play on the 1st of June, I was just wondering, if we buy tickets for tonight's Powerball, where would we cash it next week? Would the new operator cash the old operator's tickets, or do we need to go to a special place? Is there any way you can find that out for us, please? Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. I do not know the answer to that. We're going to see if we can find something out. 19 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Anthony, before you jump in, I just want to share this with everybody. Obviously, huge football match in Budapest over the weekend, Arsenal versus PSG, and there's a massive shortage of tickets, as you can imagine. I read a couple of days back a very funny post from someone who said, anyone interested in going to a match, we're going to go on a private jet. The idea is to go on a private jet. These are the departure and arrival times, blah, blah, blah. And they said, please let me know if you have tickets in a private jet. That would obviously be put you in the front row. This is even better, and I have to share it with people. This is from Nelly, who says, I have a ticket for the Arsenal versus PSG game on Saturday. I didn't realize it was going to be on the same day as my wedding, so I can't go. If you're interested and want to go, it's at St. Andrew's Church in Cambridge, and his name is Andy. I think Nelly deserves a match ticket just for a fabulous sense of humor. But you're starting with something else.
We are indeed starting this afternoon, John, with some cricket. As a first ever T20 series between the Proteas women and Zimbabwe has been announced. It'll be hosted at the Queen Sports Club in Bulawayo between 11 and 19 September. The first of the 5 matches will in fact be a maiden meeting between the two senior sides in the shortest format of the game. This afternoon we have the IPL Qualifier 2 with the winners of the eliminator, the Rajasthan Royals against the Qualifier 1 losers, the Gujarat Titans. First ball expected at 4 p.m. In Sevens rugby, the Springbok Women's Sevens have started off in Spain with back-to-back losses against Australia and the USA, while the Blitzboks needed extra time to squeeze out a 17-12 victory over Great Britain. They next face Kenya at 8 minutes past 5 this afternoon. In football, Bafana will be playing their first of 2 FIFA World Cup warm-up matches this evening. The 60th ranked side in the world will meet Nicaragua, who are 71 places lower ranked with them, at the Orlando Stadium at 6 p.m. Bradley Cross, a surprise inclusion in the 26-player squad, which was announced earlier this week, reflected on making the cut.
Well, firstly for me, this has definitely been a long-term goal for myself. I've made the preliminary squad quite a few times, so I just told myself I have to work hard and try and prove to the coach that I'm capable, and then I can prove to him that I can be in the team.
Themba Zwane has meanwhile signed a 1-year contract extension with Mamelodi Sundowns with an option for another. While in tennis, a 4-time Roland Garros winner Iga Swiatek is through to the 4th round thanks to a composed 6-4, 6-4 victory over Magda Lanetz. We've also seen Marta Kostyuk and Wang Chi-Yu through, while Novak Djokovic will be heading out against João Fonseca this afternoon. The heat's, of course, a major talking point, especially after world number 1 Jannik Sinner struggled yesterday and eventually was dumped out. The Serb says maybe night matches should become the standard.
You know, if you close one roof, then all the others are playing. You know, it's not fair. Also, you know, like why would you close the center court and then everyone else has to be playing on the heat? So I wouldn't agree with that. For example, Umag in Croatia, I know where the matches are starting like later in the afternoon. You know, yeah, is that ideal to go over midnight enough? Yeah, it's not. But you know, certain days that you have extreme heat and conditions, then maybe that's something to consider.
Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 3:45, EWN Traffic is brought to you by Caesar Kaya. The National Lottery is changing lanes and moving over to Caesar Kaya, your new official National Lottery operator from the 1st of June. Santon, getting busy already, a bit early.
Yeah, that's if you're heading towards Midrand, expect some delays in the Santon area. This is on the M1 northbound between Grayston Drive and the N1 Allendale off-ramp. Bryanston heading towards Fourways. Traffic also a bit sluggish. This is on the N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. Edenville heading towards Bedfordview. Expect some delays on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. While in Devland, there's still slow-moving traffic. This is heading towards Eldorado Park on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12. And in Centurion, traffic heavily backed up on the N1 northbound. This is between the N1 Brakfontein interchange and Jean Avenue. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and and on the EWN app.
Sauda! A new reason to play has landed. Sizekaya is shaking things up with cascading jackpots. Every last draw of the month, Powerball Extra and Lotto 5 Max will now have guaranteed winners. More winners means more celebrations across Mzansi. No waiting, no hoping, just life-changing moments. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizekaya from June 1.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Anthony Teixeira, we were talking a little bit earlier about ways in which people wake you up that you really hate, either from your younger days when somebody was coming in and say, Anthony, time for school, if that's indeed the way they did it, or, maybe even in your adult life when you've got a little bit more agency, there are still people who wake you up. So how about you? I mean, either from the past or the present, ways in which waking Anthony Teixeira up will not be appreciated.
Any which way is unappreciated, to be honest with you, John. But the one that comes to mind is my maternal grandmother. She had a tendency of, if the minute 8:30 came, and it was school holidays, the minute 8:30 came, she'd go into the kitchen and she'd get the pots and the pans out. And she used to bang and make so much noise to the point that we'd all get up eventually. And it's not because she was washing dishes. It's not like she was cooking yet or anything. It was just a matter of making sure that we got out of bed. And so that is probably the most heartbreaking sound I can ever think of.
Okay, sure. And I mean, there was no way of like locking the cupboards with the pots, but just leaving the Tupperware available.
No.
Go, Granny, do your worst with all that plastic. Too late for that. Okay, pots and pans seem to be coming into this quite a bit. Muhlomi, by the way, picks up on what Kabelo said earlier and said, one also slept in the lounge in his teen years. This sleeping arrangement earned us the nickname receptionist. If you didn't wake up early, you opened your eyes with guests around your, in inverted commas, bed on the floor. 12 minutes to 4.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Well, a very interesting press conference this morning, I thought. First up, Minister of Home Affairs Leon Schreiber, and followed then by the head of the Border Management Authority, the commissioner of that BMA is Dr. Mike Masiapato, and they were talking about all the various steps that led to them identifying a truck traveling through Zimbabwe to Beitbridge. The BMA was ready to intercept it. There was a large quantity of a drug called methaqualone, which is crucial in the manufacture of Mandrax. So the people who were driving the truck have been arrested. They appeared in court. The truck obviously has been seized and the contents have been confiscated as well. The big question for me is what happens next? Yes, you may well get to prosecute a truck driver. There were 2 other people alongside the driver. I'm not sure what particular role they were playing, but these are not the people who are bringing drugs into South Africa or using South Africa as a transit point to move those drugs on further to other markets where they do as much damage as they do here. So how do you use something like this to try and, get some leverage and find out some facts that could allow you to land more telling blows? Chad Thomas is CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations and joins us now on 702 Drive. Mr. Thomas, welcome and thanks very much for your time. This is obviously a huge amount of methaqualone, but the next step to actually use this to strike a real blow against the syndicate involved, what would need to happen for that to happen?
Very good afternoon to you and to the listeners. This was definitely a crime intelligence driven investigation that led to this massive takedown at the Beitbridge border post of just under R1 billion. What's very interesting is we haven't had a large Mandrax bust in a while, and Mandrax as an illicit narcotic, South Africa is one of the worst in the world in terms of the consumption thereof, the use thereof. So this would have most probably been destined for the South African market. It would have most probably gone to various townships around the country, primarily coloured and Indian townships where Mandrax is in high use and has been since the 1980s, and especially the Cape Flats, where there's a lot of turf war being fought over who controls which drug corner. So this is going to strike a blow towards local drug dealers, drug merchants, But because it's intelligence-driven, this wasn't just based on a tip-off like they're implying. This was
Right.
intelligence-driven, which means there was infiltration to disrupt and dismantle the syndicate. It means that they know who the top-tier leadership is, and perhaps this will lead them to that. Because I heard what you said about the arrest of the driver and the 2 assistants, and we don't want to just see foot soldiers being prosecuted. We want to see the top-tier leadership being prosecuted. So we hope that with this infiltration,
Yes.
they've identified who it came from and where it was going.
Don't leaders, heads though, of syndicates create a whole set of layers between themselves and the people who are likely to get caught? I mean, for example, do you think the driver would have known what he was carrying?
Oh, yes. All of the pawns in this ecosystem know exactly what role they're playing and what
Okay.
they're carrying. If you look at the size of the shipment and the way in which it was configured and the secret compartments, you as a driver and the assistants who've packed that truck would know that there's a secret compartment, because the space just suggests to you, if that's the game you're in, if you're in the space of transporting goods, you can see that there's a special section here that's been sealed off. So they would definitely have known that they were transporting illicit goods, and normally it's mules that are used to this type of industry that they would use to either drive or traffic on themselves. This was just a huge consignment, so it had to be trafficked in a truck.
Yes.
So as much as we do see layering, that's more on the complicated crimes. That's with the money laundering. That's the complex financial crimes. When it comes to transnational drug transshipment, we know there's a hierarchy in place. You look at what happened in Cape Town. 2 gangsters on the Cape Flats, senior members, by the way, of gangs, were responsible for getting a shipment of cocaine in from South America. They claimed that the shipment was lost at sea, 300 million rands worth. The Sinaloa cartel flew across hitmen. They assassinated them. They brought them up to Gauteng, dumped them in the Vaal, so that there
Right.
could be a message sent to others. So it's quite clear that the Sinaloa cartel is involved in cocaine in South Africa, bringing it here for transshipment and manufacturing of crystal meth for both the local market as well as for export. Mandrax has always been a drug of choice in South Africa that's managed by South African syndicates. So it would be the same suspects. It's just having to now link them to this particular case.
One of the things I wondered about, and I think it's crucial that, you know, Home Affairs, the Border Management Authority, and everybody else, the Hawks, if they've played a particular role, get their flowers for what's been done here. I wondered, though, about time. And, you know, obviously there's an expectation that a truck has left this point at this time. The driving time is X hours or whatever. If the truck doesn't arrive, the people at the receiving end may start getting worried, particularly if people don't pick up their phones. But I'm just wondering, would there have been any merit in delaying the publicizing of this? Because I would have thought people both on the shipment end and on the receiving end would have plenty of time to clean up.
Such a good point you raised there. The Australian Federal Police have an office in South Africa and Pretoria, and they've been monitoring drugs that come to South Africa and are most valuable markets for cocaine in the world. Cocaine in Australia sells for more than any other territory, and a lot of it comes from South Africa. And what the AFP does is they know when it comes into South Africa, they know where it's packaged, and they know when it leaves, and they wait for it to arrive in Australia so they can grab that crew as well. In this particular instance, I'm not sure why they didn't wait and follow it further. Maybe the BMA needed a good win. Maybe crime intelligence needed a good win and they didn't want to risk it coming into South Africa. Either way, it was a good win for the BMA and it was a good win for crime intelligence. However, your point is 100% on point, that normally you should leave it to reach its ultimate destination so you can grab the whole crew.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, there are many calculations involved here, and maybe I've just seen too many movies, Chad Thomas, but at least it strikes some kind of chord with you in the real world. Let me ask you this, though. Minister Schreiber and Commissioner Masiapato both spoke about how, as they believe they are strengthening and bringing to a high level of technological excellence the structures at the border, their role in preventing crime is going to become more and more efficient and more conspicuous. Do you share that view that if you, for example, have got ways of identifying people quickly, biometrics and so on at the border, their contribution is not just on people who are either undocumented or illegal, but actually they might help in the fight against crime? Is that a fair point they're making?
It is, and I think we need a win for law enforcement as a whole. When one looks at what's happened in the DPCI with some of the generals, in crime intelligence with some of the generals, in SAPS itself, already we're seeing a rift within IDAC and other units. We need some law enforcement agency that has a win. And the BMA has had a win. They're using technology. They're using human capital that's been well trained. The problem is, much like the Hawks, they're also throttled when it comes to budgets. They're still making use of SAPS personnel to bolster their numbers. They don't have sufficient budget for the amount of people that they need and the kind of equipment that they need. But they're making do with what they've got, and they've been able to purchase some great technological tools, and they've been able to employ some good individuals.
Right.
So I think it's good for public trust in the criminal justice system to see that there is an agency that's working out there, much the same as we're seeing with IDAC and others. And we just hope that this momentum carries through to other units, that we see this become the norm rather than the exception.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chad Thomas. Really interesting insights. He is CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations. I mean, I have to say, I didn't watch every minute of the press conference, but I watched a fair bit, and I would have thought the honest people in Home Affairs, in the BMA, in the Hawks, in any other arm of government that is actually trying to deal with the lawlessness in the country, I would hope that people were bursting with pride. I mean, this is an achievement. You could ask questions, as I did, about whether there might have been another way of letting the movie run, let the truck run its course, pick up the people who are receiving it or whatever. But I mean, what do I know? I've never done this kind of work before. But it seems to me that if you're in government and genuinely committed to doing your work well, I hope there are moments where you burst with pride. It might be the cutting of a ribbon on a new clinic, or it might be meeting targets and exceeding them. If you are in government and you've had those pride moments, first of all, tell me how they make you feel. But secondly, tell me what your bosses around you do. I mean, do they celebrate your excellence? Do they reward you for it? Call me on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 7021 702.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Of the 300 Ghanaian nationals that were to be repatriated in the fear of the xenophobic attacks that were taking place, 290 of them were here illegally. Only 10 were here legally. The Ghanaian government has taken the gap for a very desperate-looking PR exercise, in my opinion, without dealing with that particular issue. To say, why would 96% of a particular sample leave our country to go to South Africa? That is not being asked.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
These calls.
No! This was us before. Our dinner time being interrupted by unverified calls. My husband, 5 to being scammed.
Upgrade to Truecaller Premium Family Plan. Protects up to 5 people for just 49 Rand 99 per month.
Hubby chooses what to answer, and auntie knows what's real. Bese mina, I get my peaceful family dinner time.
Truecaller. Trust the real ones. Available on the Play Store and the App Store.
Vandalism of water infrastructure affects everyone. Theft and damage to pipes, meters, valves, reservoirs, and other critical systems can lead to outages, low pressure, water losses, sewer spillages, and costly repairs that impact communities across the city. Johannesburg Water urges residents to help protect public infrastructure by reporting vandalism, theft, or suspicious activity. Protecting infrastructure is a shared responsibility and helps ensure reliable water services. To report issues, call 011 688 1699. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water.
Mzansi, petrol prices have hit our pockets hard this year. And now Powerball is going up too. This Friday is the final Powerball draw under eTuba's National Lottery license, where you can still play for just 5 Rand a board. From next week, that same Powerball board will cost 10 Rand. So, before the price doubles, make your 5 Rand count. Play this Friday for an estimated 223 million Rand in total jackpots, 118 million Rand on Powerball, and 105 million Rand on Powerball Plus. One last Powerball draw under eTuba. One last 5 Rand chance. Get your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. eTuba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
That's Tabo, before he got naked. When Tabo's car broke down, he did what every manly man does best. Hit things, fiddle, and hope it works. So Tabo got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance in seconds and can now call roadside assistance anytime on the Naked app. Tools down, Tabo. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
This is EWN.
Khan heads back to drawing board to recover electronic devices, and Uganda confirms 2 new Ebola cases. Good afternoon, I'm Zingisa Chirwa. The Madlanga Commission has taken possession of electronic devices belonging to Crime Intelligence Deputy Head Major General Feroz Khan. This emerged in the Johannesburg High Court today, where Khan's urgent bid to have the devices returned was removed from the role by agreement. Khan argues the devices contain highly sensitive information that could put lives at risk if released. The devices were seized earlier this month during his arrest on charges linked to the alleged possession of raw gold. Ngosikona Malinga Mnisi reports.
Major General Khan now heads back to the drawing board in his bid to recover his electronic devices. Their handover to the Madlanga Commission means they are no longer under police control, rendering his application moot. In court today, Khan's lawyer Zubair Khan criticized the SAPS, cited as respondents for their handling of the application, including delays and poor communication. Meanwhile, Khan is expected back in court in July alongside 2 co-accused in connection with the gold-related case. Or see Malinga Mnisi, Eyewitness News in Johannesburg.
The Small Business Development Department says more than 2,300 spaza shops have been approved for funding from government's funds set aside to support small businesses. The department has provided an update on the disbursement of the 500 million rand spaza shop support fund. The fund was officially launched last year to support spaza shops following calls to formalize the sector. While more than 4,200 applications have been assessed, the department says only 58% of them had the required municipal trading permits. Department's Director General Tulsile Manzini says a significant number of spaza shops still don't have the required documents.
A significant number of applications remain unable to progress until licensing and compliance requirements have been addressed. And as part of ensuring the integrity of the program, site visits and verification processes have identified that 354 applications that could not be processed due to non-compliance, including non-existent businesses.
And discrepancies have emerged in the reported value of a major drug seizure at the Beitbridge border post. Early today, Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber and Border Management Authority Commissioner Michael Masiapato announced that nearly R1 billion worth of methaqualone, commonly known as ABBA, was intercepted in a truck travelling from Malawi into South Africa via Zimbabwe. The estimated street value given was about R1 billion, but the figure announced by authorities and the valuation presented in court differ. Demakatso Leshoro reports.
The BMA head Dr. Michael Masiapato and Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber told the media that about 713,000 grams of the substance used in the manufacture of Mandrex was found hidden inside a compartment in the truck. This is what the minister said.
The single biggest breakthrough against the drug trade in South African history. Law enforcement intercepted a drug consignment valued at nearly R1 billion at the Beitbridge port of entry.
The 2 Malawian nationals and 1 Zambian national appeared at the Musina Magistrates Court. However, during their appearance, the prosecutor told the court that the value of the seized drugs was approximately 34 million rand, significantly lower than the earlier figure presented by officials. EWN has reached out to the Border Management Authority and the Hawks for clarity. The Hawks have referred us to the BMA. We await confirmation. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
And Uganda has confirmed 2 new Ebola cases. This brings the total to 9, including 1 fatality. The news comes as the Ministry of Health closed the border temporarily, with only authorized crosses for outbreak response allowed. The outbreak began in the Democratic Republic of Congo's Ituri province, which is the northeastern part of the country bordering Uganda and South Sudan. In your financials, gold is trading at $4,517.58 an ounce. The rand is 16.23 to the dollar, 21.79 to the pound, and 18.90 to the euro. Brent crude oil is $92.28 a barrel.
In Linwood, bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the N1 southbound heading towards Centurion between Linwood Road and the R21 Flying Saucer interchange in Sandton. This is heading towards Midrand. Expect some delays. M1 north from Greyston Drive to the N1 Allendale off-ramp, and in Bryanston, traffic remains sluggish on the N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive.
And in your sport, Bafana unlikely to feature Mamelodi Sundowns players in World Cup warm-up against Nicaragua. Alexander Zverev speaks on the improvements to his game ahead of Roland Garros' third-round encounter. And the Gujarat Titans and Rajasthan Royals meet in IPL Qualifier 2.
In your weather, Gauteng can anticipate a partly cloudy Saturday. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 5 degrees, peaking at 22. Pretoria 6 and 23. Vereeniging 3 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the Madlanga Commission has taken possession of electronic devices belonging to Crime Intelligence Deputy Head Major General Feroz Khan.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Abize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes past 4 on 7:02 Drive. It's great to have you with us. Coming up shortly on the show, Richard Spur, human rights lawyer, will join us to talk about an important development in the courts. This in regard to justice for people, some of whom lost family members, others who are still actually dealing in terms of the injury and illness that their children have faced as a result of the listeriosis case all those years ago, still not resolved in terms of restitution. But as I said, important shifts in the courts. We'll talk to Richard Spur about, firstly, what the courts have decided during this week, but secondly, the bigger picture of the class action suit that has been coming for many, many years. After 5:30, we'll be talking in our weekly feature, A Song, a Book and a Dish, with Zakes Bantwini, musician and producer. He's just got a new album out, and I'm really looking forward to hosting him right here in the 7:02 Drive studio. And if you want to not just hear Zakes, but watch him as well when he's with us, please follow us on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, type in John Perlman 7:02 Drive Live. Why don't you do it now? Because you can see the rest of us anyway. Zakes will be arriving fairly soon. Our other regular is Randall's One Song with Randall Abrams. Today we're going to focus on popular songs that became football anthems, like this one. Yeah, possibly the most famous example, but certainly not the only one. And behind each of those songs being adopted by fans in there, in some cases millions, I think, in the case of You'll Never Walk Alone, there's a story behind it, and the links to the popular songs that preceded the adoption in stadiums is a very, very interesting one indeed. Nobody better to tell it to us than Randall Abrams. He's with us at 10 to 5.
7:02. WhatsApp John
On 072
7:02
1702.
Afternoon, John. News item. Is there somebody targeting Woolworths? An explosion at the Woolworths store in Menlyn yesterday, Pretoria, and now an explosion at Woolworths Bloemfontein store. Are they being subjected to some kind of terrorism action? Have a good afternoon, and please find out and let us all know. Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. So we've been trying to get people to come in and talk about it. What we want to avoid is any kind of commentary that would be speculative. Now, Woolworths is not giving interviews, but they did put out a statement, and I'll share with you some of the key points. As you rightly said, 2 explosions. They describe them as improvised explosive devices. The first, as you said, in Menlyn, the second in Bloem at the Prellis Square branch. Menlyn Park is reopened. Prela Square still closed, they say, quote, while the investigation is underway. They point out the devices were set off between 1 and 2 a.m. when the stores were closed, but they make the point that staff members have been affected and Woolworths is providing all the necessary support to our teams. Now, they go on to say SAPS has been informed immediately. The Hawks have been appointed to investigate, and they point out that Woolworths has extended its full cooperation to authorities and will continue to work closely with them. And then let me read the sentence in full because I think it's important. At this stage, no further information on the nature of the devices or the motive behind these attacks is available. One more, again, verbatim. As a precaution, vigilance across Woolworths stores nationwide has increased, and specialist forensic experts have been contracted to strengthen security and intelligence in support of the work already being done by the authorities. There's then comment from the incoming Group CEO, Sam Ngumeni, talking about the business and its values. But in terms of the question you asked, Tom, I hope that at least sheds some light. 12 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
As traffic builds up in Linwood, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Plumlink, your local plumbing store. Visit plumlink.co.za to find your nearest store. Karabo, Charlie, start us off in Tshwane, I would think.
Yep. Bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is heading towards Centurion John in the Linwood area. N1 South between Linwood Road and the R21 Flying Saucer interchange, while in Hermanstad. You can also expect about a 20-minute delay leaving the Pretoria CBD. That's on Eskia Mphahlele. Between WF Nkomo and the R80 Sandton. Expect some delays. This is heading towards Midrand on the M1 northbound between Greyston Drive and the N1 Allendale off-ramp. While in Bryanston, traveling towards Fourways, traffic remains a bit sluggish on the N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive in Ekurhuleni, Edenvale. This is traveling towards Bedford View. Expect some delays. R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange, and in Devland, at Devland Eldorado Park area, there's also slow-moving traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. If it's plumbing, you'll find it at Plumlink, South Africa's largest plumbing retailer. From pipes, fittings, geysers, and baths to basins, taps, tools, and accessories, we've got it all. With more than 10,000 quality products at the right price and over 150 stores nationwide, there's always a Plumlink near you, ready to help with expert advice and unbeatable value. Find your nearest branch today at plumlink.coza.
Plumlink, your local plumbing store.
702 afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
How did you and Tony meet on set?
Remember, Tony used to be on this thing.
Yes.
Yes, and I was on Generations.
And you were next door to each other in the studios.
It was literally an institution. The SABC at the time was like high school.
Yes.
So siyahlangana sonke, there's the mixing of, sometimes we'll all hang out on Fridays.
Yes.
And then I'm like, oh my gosh, there's that guy.
There's that guy.
There's that guy.
And he was a minor.
He was a minor, you
Monica,
remember?
the overall
Yes. Yeah, was his thing.
702 afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
It's that time of the year. Sore throats, congestion, wet and dry coughs, pain and fever. For trusted relief for you and your family, ask your pharmacist to recommend a winter survival pack from the Adcock Ingram OTC range. With products like Medikil A, Expigen, Corenza Parac, Adconapamol, Dilinct Junior, and more, we have you covered this winter. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
Experience pure country allure as a VIP at this year's Hollywood Bets Durban July with Spina Zonke. Stand a chance to win VIP experiences or a share of 1.2 million rand in cash. Bet 2 rand or more on selected slots to enter. This is your moment. Release your spirit, release your victory, release your glamour with Spina Zonke. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car. And some cars say, I rented the car. Sani Sixt Rent a Car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani Sixt on sani.co.za.
702 was in conversation with FNB on 702 Drive with John Perlman, exploring how My Advisor helps you take control of your money.
Okay, what have we got at our disposal? We've got data that's available at our disposal. Has the client consented? Yes, the client's consented. Okay, let's use that data. Let's take a bit of a philosophy and said, how is the best way that a person should manage their money? And actually then put that on a gauge for them to say, how are you doing? Are you getting started on your financial journey? Are you building tomorrow? Or are you thriving on your financial journey? And then if you go further into that, it then shows you what are some of the things that you need to do.
Download the FNB app today to access My Advisor and start making better financial decisions every day.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 17 minutes past 4. Hope you're looking forward to the weekend. I don't know if you've got anything special planned, a celebration, or maybe you are, for example, playing your own cup final. I know a lot of people play amateur sports, and by amateur, I just mean that purely as a descriptive character. I'm not commenting in any way, shape, or form on the ability of you and your teammates. But I know in my days of playing team sport that some of those cup finals that one could play in felt as big and important as anything that would capture your attention as a fan. So if you've got a big one coming up over the weekend involving you, a family member, maybe your kids or young people in your life in general, please do give us a call on that on 011 883 0702. Still trying to get an absolutely clear answer on that lotto question. Ituba making way for Sizekaya. We all know that that's coming up and that begins on the 1st of June. But if you won money, what happens with the payouts? One person is suggesting that Ituba actually keeps their offices open for the next 6 months. But we'll try and get official confirmation on that so that when you know for sure. It's 18 minutes past 4.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
One of the terrible tragedies in this country was undoubtedly the outbreak of listeriosis. It left people dead. It left people who survived and lived on nevertheless, hit with huge medical bills, children suffering with learning disabilities. The consequences have been enormous. Well, that matter was in the court today, not directly in regard to Tiger Brands, the company involved and front and center in this matter, but appearing before Judge Stuart Wilson was the National Health Laboratory Service and the National Institute for Communicable Diseases. At issue, as I understand it, was the release of information that could be central to the class action lawsuit that is still to come. Let's get absolute clarity on this and welcome Attorney Richard Spoor, who has been acting for the families and those affected for many years now. Mr. Spoor, welcome and thanks very much for your time. What was before the court this week, and what in the outcome is significant perhaps for the bigger goal of eventually getting some justice for the people hit so hard by listeriosis? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. So since 2018, we've been pursuing a case against Tiger Brands for this listeriosis outbreak, 2016, 2017. One of the reasons that it's taken so long is because there is a lot of information or data required regarding the outbreak to prove that it was related to Tiger Brands' contaminated products.
Right.
And most of this information is held by the NICD, the National Institute for Communicable Diseases, and their parent body, the National Health Laboratory Services. So we've had a a hard time getting hold of the data that we need to prove our case and which Tiger Brands wants to see in order to assess the merits of the case from their perspective with a view to a settlement. So either to run the matter to a conclusion or for the purpose of settlement, we need this information. The NICD refused to provide this information, saying it was confidential. So having exhausted all remedies, in November last year, we filed an application for a court order to require the NICD to release this information to us. That matter was heard on the 12th of March 26. Originally, the Health Laboratory Services and the NICD said we're not going to oppose it, but on the evening before the hearings, they filed a very, very lengthy affidavit. That meant that the matter couldn't be decided by Judge Wilson.
Yes.
He had to get a response from us, and he was only able to deliver judgment on the 17th of April. So that caused a further delay. Judge Wilson then took it upon himself to ask the parties to ask the NICD and the NHLS why they shouldn't be required to pay the costs, because they delayed the matter, they filed their pleadings late. And today he made a judgment directing that the NICD, NHLS should pay the applicant's costs, that's our costs, on an attorney-client basis.
Right.
He condemned their strategy, basically their legal strategy. He said it was unconstitutional, it wasn't consistent with the duties that rested upon the state in litigation, and he awarded this punitive order against them.
So let's focus our attention then, Mr. Spoor, on the bigger task at hand, which is the lawsuit. Remind us of what you're actually bringing to the courts, and does this, presumably you're going to get hold of all of this information, feed it into your preparations and your arguments. How far are we away from a court actually hearing this?
We're ready to proceed. I mean, one of the issues about the information that we required from the National Health Laboratory Service is because the defendants require it for their defense. So it's a kind of we don't think we need it, but they do.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the best position to get the information. But in short, we act for over 1,000 claimants. This includes the mothers of over 200 children who were stillborn or miscarried as a result of this outbreak. Over 200 children who were born with serious neurological deficits, and then a large number of people who died, another 200 odd people who died, and a number of people who were seriously injured by contracting listeriosis. The issue that squarely confronts Tiger Brands is whether to settle this matter or not.
Right.
To do that, they need to know something about the quantum of the claims, and they need to do their own actuarial assessments so that their own board of directors can make a decision whether to settle or not. And that's why this data is important for them. It's helpful to us, although we think our claim is solid, and we don't doubt Tiger's liability. We think we can be in court. For a case on Tiger's in principle liability just as soon as the court can make space for us. We're ready. We have our case together. What we're hoping is that Tiger will accept liability, and we can then move to the question of, what do they owe and to whom.
And just finally, and briefly, if you can, Mr. Spoor, I mean, do you have any idea why the NICD and the NHLS would have actually done this and made it difficult for the information to be shared? I mean, surely as a national entity, they have a duty to share information relevant to a matter clearly of national importance like this one.
Well, it's a very curious thing because Aaron Motsoaledi was the minister at the time of this outbreak, and when we launched the proceedings, has been incredibly helpful. I mean, he was gone for a while, but he's back now as Minister of Health, and he continues to be helpful and supportive and cooperative. So I don't really understand why the National Health Laboratory Services are so hostile and difficult. My best guess is it has to do with attorneys and lawyers who are paid and who take an incredibly legalistic approach to these kind of proceedings, and frankly aren't so much interested in justice as they are in, raking up the legal fees.
Thank you so much, Attorney Richard Spoor. So the slow march towards some sort of justice for 216 people who died, hundreds of stillborn children, many more children suffering from serious neurological defects, all as a result of those 1,060 listeriosis cases that began all the way back in 2017. We wait. 702 Drive.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you. Rand looking good. Markets, how are they doing?
Yeah, quite nicely, John. Obviously, all because of a slightly lower oil price. I mean, that's what's really making such a big difference. It is down to it's down below $92 a barrel now, and that's what's really made such a change. The JSE All Share down 0.35%, 114,695 points. Financials are flat, industrials are down 0.85, and resources are down 0.05. Still, a lot of people in kind of wait and see mode, and you can understand why, because there's sort of so much going on in the Middle East, and this is the issue and this is the problem that really any kind of investor has, is you just don't know how things are going to play out. Astonishing numbers out of SPAR today, John. They said their headline earnings for the 6 months to the end of March will be down by between 50 and 60%. They said that's because there's margin compression. They've been trying to grow market share at the expense of price. They specifically say in KwaZulu-Natal there wasn't enough logistics capacity planning. Their services were disrupted. On Black Friday, they saw strong growth, but at what they describe a meaningful cost to gross profit margin. Their shares down nearly 16.5% on the day. I mean, that's huge. Aspen Pharmacare going in completely the other direction. They're up 7.2%. They've officially now completed the divestment of their Aspen Asia Pacific business. They were able to get more than they were expecting out of that deal, so 27 billion rand. That really goes into paying back debt, strengthening the balance sheet, and that makes a big difference to them. And then Dis-Chem, their headline earnings per share were down by 17% in the year to the end of February. Their sales volumes are up quite strongly, and so that's not the problem. What's really happened here, I think, is that they've invested heavily in a new innovation unit. Investors are quite disappointed. They're down 8.3%. We'll speak to their CEO, Rumarea, on the Money Show this evening, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. Pick n Pay down again at the end of the week, down nearly 6.5%. Now, after those results out earlier, Telkom down 4.22%, AB InBev down 3.6%, Truworths also down nearly 3.5%, and Tiger Brands down 2.4%. Some of this will be interest rate related consumer brands. Karoo's up 3.79%, Tungela's up 2.11%, and Richmond is up 1.6%. In the US, a little bit of optimism around the possible deal in the Middle East. They came off record closes yesterday, but still making progress today. The Dow Jones is up 0.45, the Nasdaq is up 0.48, the S&P 500 is up 0.39. The gold price at the moment, $4,550.58, platinum $1,931.30, Brent crude $91.73. You can see how much lower that is. That's strengthening the rand. Also, yesterday's interest rate update helped strengthening the rand. 16.24 to the dollar, 18.91 to the euro, 21.82 to the British pound. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 4:30 on 702 Drive. Zingisa Chirwa here to update us once again on the news.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Parliament's Standing Committee on the Auditor General wants a swifter response to recoup public money lost to corruption. But it's heard that often the investigations to trace stolen money cost more than the money lost to graft. The Special Investigating Unit estimates some 26 million rand is recoverable from investigations referred to it by the Auditor General since 2020 and has so far recovered just more than 6 million rand. Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke says failing to hold those responsible for corruption before they evade the system is due to accounting officers taking too long to initiate disciplinary proceedings. Lindsay Datlinger has more.
The Auditor General has referred 32 material irregularities to the Special Investigating Unit for further probing. 8 of these investigations have been finalised, with 9 ongoing. The Department of Justice is considering motivations for another 9 probes. However, Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke says while the law requires her to make referrals of financial losses worth at least R1 million, the SIU prefers to investigate matters that exceed 2.5 million rand.
And so there is some complexity around how we're going to have to look at what we do with matters that are under 2.5 million rand or even under 10 million, but then still meet the 1 million. And maybe it is time to relook at the 1 million.
Acting Director General for Justice, Kale Pillay, says while the cost of investigations is a factor to consider, especially when involving cash-strapped municipalities, the threshold should not be a prohibiting factor where there's been wrongdoing. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry will hand over its second interim report to President Cyril Ramaphosa this afternoon. Similar to the first report submitted to the President in December, the latest report will also not be made public. The second interim report will focus on the Commission's investigations as well as evidence and findings from witnesses who testified between January and May. Alvaro Mushwana reports.
While the first interim report, which was submitted to President Cyril Ramaphosa in December, was for his eyes only, the presidency did provide a glimpse into the findings of the Madlanga Commission. Part of the findings were that 14 SAPS and EMPD officers should be referred to the NPA after testimony revealed possible signs of wrongdoing. The second report, which will be handed over today, will focus on testimony from 32 witnesses who testified about corruption in various law enforcement agencies. The commission still has to turn its attention to the NPA, the judiciary and the State Security Agency in the 3 months it has remaining. Only the final report, which the Commission is expected to hand over to the President at the end of August, will be made public with its findings and recommendations. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And NPO Fundawande says their research shows there's a need to be a focus on strengthening teacher support systems in order to implement mother tongue bilingual learning. The organization developed a teaching model called Teacher Professional Development through a partnership with Wits University. Today, the two parties released their research findings from a 2024 study, along with suggested solutions for schools in Limpopo and KwaZulu-Natal. The research is focused on addressing poor learning outcomes in foundation and intermediate phases. Fundawande's Julia Maputa says in order to do that, they provided teachers with training every quarter. She says they also give teachers guidance through scripted lessons in line with the Education Department's curriculum and assessment policy statement.
The first thing that we provide is the relevant resources that we have developed as an organization for them to use in their classrooms. Apart from giving them these resources, we train them on how these resources can be optimally utilized. Because just provision of resources alone and leaving the teachers outside might not bear any fruit.
A quick look at your weather. Gauteng will be partly cloudy tomorrow. Temperatures dropping to overnight lows of between 3 and 5 degrees and peaking at highs of between 22 and 23.
Centurion, traffic heavily backed up on the N1 northbound between the N14 Brakfontein interchange and the R21 Flying Saucer interchange, while in Hermanstad leaving the Pretoria CBD expect about a 20-minute delay. On Eskiam Patlele between WF Nkomo and the R80. Finally in Linwood, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the N1 southbound between Linwood Road and the R21 Flying Saucer interchange.
The top story in EWN, Parliament's Standing Committee on the Auditor General wants a swifter response to recoup public money lost to corruption.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
This is Baba Kupeka from the Val. Man, I've had a stroke and couldn't even send a comment or talk to you here on 702 WhatsApp. but at least now I can talk. But you have a splendid day to everyone at 702. You can recover and survive a stroke.
It's great to hear from you, and we wish you all the best, of course, as you continue to recover. Thank you so much for sending that voice note. You really made our day.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9
on 702.
That's Amanda before she got naked. When the power tripped, Amanda felt more helpless than when her mom-in-law called her lasagna different. So Amanda got naked. She got car and home insurance at a lower premium and can now call an electrician anytime via the Naked app. There we go. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
A new, faster, smarter way to play the lotto is coming. Sizekaya is changing the game with the introduction of Shesha codes. Now you can pick your numbers on your phone, generate your Shesha code, walk into any participating retailer, scan it, and print your ticket instantly. No slips, no long queues. Just scan, play, and win. Fast. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizekaya from June 1.
Calling all wedding planners and venues, restaurants, conference centers, and hotels. Do you need tables and chairs? Home in One has it all. Do you need cutlery, crockery, table linen, and restaurant equipment? Home in One has it all. Do you need tents, gazebos, or umbrellas? Home in One has it all. Affordable prices, the latest trends, with 2 branches in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Shop online at homein1.co.za because we're your number one choice. Home in One has it all.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy, a pulse, and a feeling connecting everybody. The heart of Mzansi.
It's Joburg, you know?
In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi, and we're calling on you to walk through the city center with us.
Walk the talk.
In the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going to the iconic Joburg CBD, the home of dream creators and operators, where we dominate and history make. So join us and be a part of something special.
I'm ready to rock this book.
Because when Joburg walks together, extraordinary things happen. Enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk this July, hosted by the city of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for the people, for our Jozi. Babize bonke. Enter Walk the Talk now on primemediaplus.com.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John and team. Yes, last year, this time, the 3rd of June last year, I was lucky enough to be at Yankee Stadium for New York Yankees against the Cleveland Guardians. And because the Yankees won, they play New York, New York. So when and only when the Yankees win, then they play New York, New York by Old Blue Eyes. This is Chris from Radiohead.
Hi, John and team. I just thought I'd let you know that I went to buy a lotto ticket for the last draw that Ituba's doing, and all their machines are offline nationwide. So, people aren't going to be able to buy tickets for the last draw. Bye.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know if that's a temporary situation or there's a fundamental fault. There is still buying time, and some people will have bought already, but we'll try and find out from Ituba what's happening there. By the way, many of you did have questions around the lotto. Kgotatso Mashile, head of marketing for the new operator Sizekaya Holdings, will be joining us after 5 o'clock just to answer some of the questions that you guys have been presenting to us. It's 21 minutes now to 5.
EWN Sport.
Bafana in action, the Champions League final. Blitzboks are doing their Blitzbook thing in Sevens Rugby, and there's lots of tennis on a very, very hot set of courts. Anthony Teixeira with the details.
Yeah, good afternoon, John. Well, let's start at the Orlando Stadium, where Bafana will be playing their FIFA World Cup send-off match against Nicaragua this evening. Coach Hugo Bruce confirmed that he's unlikely to field Mamelodi Sundowns players as they continue their recoveries from the CAF Champions League final, a victory parade, as well as travelling back from Morocco. It gives us a chance to see the uncapped players, one of those being Oluetu Makanya, who's spoken about being involved in the squad and heading to the North American showpiece.
I mean, firstly, for me, it's a dream come true, and it's a really big honor for me and my family to be part of the squad and be able to represent the national team. When I left the country to go to the USA, I was very young. It's been a really great journey, and ever since then, things have been just coming together for me.
Kickoff is 6 p.m. The European season will draw to a close tomorrow evening as Arsenal, in their first Champions League final in 20 years, come up against the title holders PSG. BBC is reporting that Ibrahim Konate is set to follow Andy Robertson and Mohamed Salah and leave Anfield on a free transfer when his contract expires at the end of June. While in Sevens rugby, the Blitzboks are facing Kenya at 5 on the back of a hard-fought 17-12 victory over Great Britain, while the Springbok Women's Sevens suffered 26-12 losses to both Australia and the USA on day one out in Spain. In tennis, Mira Andreeva, Sorana Kirsty and Andrei Rublev all picked up a third-round Roland Garros straight-set victories, while Pablo Carreno needed 4 sets to advance to the fourth round. Still to come on courts is the second seed, Alexander Zverev, against Quinton Hales. He's the highest-ranked men's player left in the competition.
At the end of last year, we sat down with my team and we said we have to do something different. We have to try more things. We have to try to be more aggressive. We have to try to hit the ball harder. We have to maybe come in a bit more, maybe a bit more variety as well. And so far it's working. We'll see how the next 10 days go. But, I'm happy where I am. I have to be confident in my game.
Let's switch to cricket now, and qualifier 2 of the IPL season. The Rajasthan Royals won the toss, selected to bat first, and are currently 76 for the loss of 2. That's after 7 overs. Jadeja's there on 29, anchoring that innings against the Gujarat Titans. And in golf, South Africa's Eric van Rooyen is a shot off of the 6-way leaders at the Charles Schwab Challenge, headed into the second round. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Coming up now for 18 minutes to 5. I believe we've got some delays out in the Centurion area. Information about that, plus all the rest of the traffic news. Karabo Charlie.
Yes, John, heading towards Linwood and Centurion, traffic heavily backed up on the N1 northbound from the N14 Brakfontein interchange all the way to the R21 Flying Saucer interchange. This is due to an earlier accident in Linwood. Also, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N1 southbound from Linwood Road to the R21 Flying Saucer interchange. Hermanstad leaving the Pretoria CBD. Expect some delays. This is on Eskiam Pahlele between WF Nkomo and the R80 in Sandton. Also, heavy delays on the M1 northbound heading towards Midrand between Greyston Drive and the N1 Allendale off-ramp. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 16 minutes to 5. Now, Randall Abrams and I love chatting about music. I bring some enthusiasm. He brings lots and lots and lots of insights and expertise. The other thing, though, we do chat about from time to time is football. It just so happens that we're both Arsenal fans, so there's been a fair amount to talk about lately. But today we're going to speak about football anthems and their relationship to popular songs. And I'm really looking forward to this. Randall, a very good afternoon to you. Let's just make sure we got Randall clearly.
How's it, John?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Sorry about that.
No, there was a slight delay. Welcome. So, fans adopting popular songs and making them their own, whether the songs continue to have a life beyond that is not necessarily important. Is this something, I mean, most people will think this is 40s, 50s, 60s. Does it go back further than that?
Would you believe, John, it goes back all the way to the 1880s and 1890s.
Okay.
When music hall songs were adapted for teams. And two of the first teams to adapt songs were Sheffield United, a song called Annie Laurie, and then obviously, inserting their name, and then Blackburn Rovers. And then an official song for Stoke City in 1899, which was called We're Haunted, 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 because they were always relegated.
And that became the official song. Well, I suppose that's one way of doing it. We're going to focus on a couple of songs, and I think it's fair to say, whether you're a Liverpool fan or not, just objectively speaking, You'll Never Walk Alone is perhaps the best known of the football anthems, but it has its roots all the way back in an unlikely place, Broadway in New York City in 1945. Let's play an excerpt, a brief one, of You'll Never Walk Alone from the musical Carousel, and then Randall will talk about it.
Know that I've loved you.
Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams drift tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll
So, from what I can gather, Rodgers and Hammerstein are the authors of that. This was actually a love song, Randall.
Yes, it was from the musical Carousel, and obviously from those Tin Pan Alley songwriters, Rodgers and Hammerstein, along with Cole Porter. The Gershwin brothers were really famed for those songs and those musicals. But then it became adapted because it was a big hit in the 1960s for Jerry and the Pacemakers in 1963. And obviously a very famous band came out of Liverpool, and that also turned things around in terms of terrace songs. So, the affinity for a football team and for a musical group, they forged together, and You'll Never Walk Alone, as I say, became the Liverpool anthem. And it was really in the 1960s that these terrace songs, as they were, fans singing a song together to support their team, became a big thing. Before that, it had really been mostly chants here and there and brass bands in the 1940s and 50s. But the adoption of songs really took off in the 1960s.
So let's hear from Liverpool boys as they're young men as they were at the time. This goes all the way back to 1961. Here's Jerry and the Pacemakers doing a song that, by the way, I think Frank Sinatra did and Elvis did and other people sang. But this was You'll Never Walk Alone, coming to Merseyside. So that's what's playing on the radio. But boy, when Liverpool fans took it up, literally in their tens of thousands, it sounded like this. I mean, Randall, can clubs go looking for this kind of thing, or do certain things have to happen? Yes, this began musically on Broadway in New York. You wouldn't really expect it to find its way into this extraordinary song that it's become over many decades. I mean, is that just organic, or can you be intentional about it?
Look, I think certain times people do try and be intentional about it, but the fact is that football fans then, to a degree, if it's almost written and a concept that's been put together in order to fit a certain narrative, becomes very, very difficult. The organic way that You'll Never Walk Alone became a Liverpool song, all those bands coming out of Merseyside on the back of the Beatles. It's just such a perfect moment. And then the song obviously having meaning, the growth of television, where you would be able to watch and potentially hear people sing the song. I think that's really, really organic. And again, as I say, if a team tries almost to force a song down the throats of their supporters,
Yes.
it's usually unsuccessful.
Yeah, and of course, let's come to our team now, Arsenal. I mean, they tried a few things. They
did.
Ran out to The Wonder of You by Elvis, which I don't think
Absolutely.
ever worked. And then, of course, they did an incredibly original thing and tried Sweet Caroline. Not. And I don't think there was a huge success either. And then along came somebody called Louis Dunford, not famous in the world of music at all, but with something very special. Tell us about it.
So the song is called The Angel, North London Forever, and it's really a working class look at the place where he grew up, which is Islington in North London, which is obviously right around the corner from Highbury. He mentions Highbury in the song, and he is also a lifelong Arsenal fan. And it's really, as I say, a vignette of working class life. But then, of course, a very rousing chorus, and almost overnight, it became the Arsenal anthem, because it was only released in May of 2022. So we're only talking 4 years, to be honest.
Yes.
But again, that rousing chorus, North London forever, whatever the weather, these streets are our own and my heart will leave you never. You can imagine it makes complete sense for a football fan.
Yeah, let's take a listen then to Louis Dunford. The song is called The Angel. People who know London will know that there is a subway station in the area of Islington, which is broadly speaking where the Arsenal stadiums have been located. Here's Louis Dunford.
As I walk these streets alone, through this borough I call home, upon the barren fields of Highbury, neath the stadiums of stone, through the turnstiles at the Angel, see the homeless on the green, from the Cali to the cross, and every show in between. Past the church, the mosque, a crack den, and the offie on the corner. See the brasses from the brothel that pretends to be a sauna. Watch the bedlam in the bookies, see the winners and the losers seeking solace from their sorrow in the local battle cruisers. Through the madness in the market, weathered faces turn to greet ya. Hello governor, how's your mother? You're right son, be lucky geezer. Double pie and mash and liquor, a cup of rosy up chap, or watch retired gangsters bicker every day in Arthur's calf. The little fuckers causing trouble for the causes make you smile. You meet your muckers for a couple, forget your troubles for a while. From the full nil to the hemi, all the faces are the same, cause the manner might be changing, but the people still remain. North London forever, whatever the weather, these streets are our own, and my heart will leave you never. My blood will forever run through the stone. As I walk these streets alone, through a kingdom made of crow.
Randa, for me, a bit of a parallel with You'll Never Walk Alone. Musicians from the area, but critically from the kind of culture of pride within which the teams have, grown and waxed and waned because they don't win all the time, as we know all too well. Is that the secret of success? That you can't just take a pop song and say, this is going to be our song?
No, absolutely. And Arsenal adopted that song just months after its release, and that was because fans were the ones who did the adopting, right? They were the ones who sang it. They were the ones who inserted Arsenal's name into it. And luckily, the team very quickly caught on and then started playing it at games just a few months after its release. And I think that's the key, John. It's got to be authentic, right? You can't, with respect, let some ad agency dream up a song for you and think that it's going to work. And also, as you'll know, I mean, yes, football tickets cost a fortune these days. I certainly can't afford to get to the Champions League final. But it was always a very working class game.
Yes.
You know, it was always a game that, you know, people would go to after a very hard week at work to support their football team. And that's why I think in the case of this song, it being such a, as I say, a working class vignette, that, you know, it made absolute sense to adopt it.
Yeah, well, let's hear what North London Forever, just like You'll Never Walk Alone, sounds when it moves from the voice of a single singer and creator, or in the case of Jerry and the Pacemakers, a band as well, and when it gets taken up by people in their thousands. Just a final thought on this, Randall. I mean, the culture in stadiums, the extent to which fans feel ownership, and the extent to which they get behind their team is, you know, it's not going to make the difference if your defense is poor, but it must give you some advantage, some kind of force before a game kicks off.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's why they call it home field advantage, right? Because there's another force inside the stadium. You know, I'm sure that Liverpool supporters will say that, you know, if you're at the Kop, the ball gets drawn into the net, right? And Arsenal's stadium, the Emirates, has been called a library for far too long. So, you know, that kind of a sense that you're entering a cauldron, that the fans are loud, that they're singing, that they're 1,000% behind their team.
Yes.
I think it's really important, right? You know, you go a goal down, the fans get behind you, and you can also see the complete opposite, John. You know, when fans start sighing and booing, or they're disinterested, you can almost see the team start to drift, you know. Whereas if they get that sense that the fans are behind them and singing, they sometimes seem to play that much better.
Randall Abrams, thank you very much. A fascinating trawl through football songs, the long history of this all the way back, as he said, to the 1880s. We went via Liverpool and You'll Never Walk Alone all the way to London. Maybe you've got a football song, something you want to share and talk about that you've heard in stadiums and that has really caught your ear and heart. Give us a ring on that on 072 702 1702.
We could tell you we're the best bank in Africa, but if you're a CEO or CFO looking to scale, you'll want the numbers. Like that 350 of Africa's corporates bank with us, that 80% of its billion-dollar corporates trust us with their business, and that our systems process 300 million rand a minute. That's 430 billion rand every day. Grow with the bank that does big numbers. Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Still shopping around for a saving here and a deal there? Choose Checkers, SA's #1 in value supermarket, and save on deals like Sprite, Fanta or Stony soft drink or Schweppes soda water 2 litres, any 2 for 37 rand. Yum Yum peanut butter 800 grams for 69.99, and Sensodyne repair or sensitive toothpaste 75 mils for 74.99 each. Valid until 7 June, only at Checkers.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra's Winter Symphony season
featuring masterpieces by Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, and more, is sure to exhilarate music lovers. Concerts take place on Thursday evenings from 4 to 25 June at the Linda Auditorium. Tickets available at Quicket.
Mzansi, petrol prices have hit our pockets hard this year. And now Powerball is going up too. This Friday is the final Powerball draw under Ituba's National Lottery license, where you can still play for just 5 Rand a board. From next week, that same Powerball board will cost 10 Rand. So, before the price doubles, make your 5 Rand count. Play this Friday for an estimated 223 million Rand in total jackpots, 118 million Rand on Powerball, and 105 million Rand on Powerball Plus. One last Powerball draw under Ituba. One last 5 Rand chance. Get your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
My name is Richard Sutton, and I'm the host of the podcast Shift Happens. This podcast is about you and the seasons of growth, change, and transformation that shape who you become. My guests are people who have walked long, difficult roads and along the way developed the tools and skills they needed not just to survive, but to thrive and make a real impact in the world. So if you're feeling stuck, uncertain, or searching for what's next, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Shift Happens. Now streaming on primemediaplus.com, the Prime Media Plus app, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
This is EWN.
2 Woolworths stores rocked by explosions, and government spends 180 million rand on Spaza sector. Good afternoon, I'm Zingisa Chirwa. Retail giant Woolworths has confirmed 2 explosions at its stores in Pretoria and Bloemfontein. In a statement, the company says improvised explosive devices were detonated, one yesterday and the other in the early hours of this morning. Woolworths says no one was injured in either incident. However, some staff have been affected and support is being provided. Gosikona Malinga Mnisi reports.
The first explosion occurred at the Woolworths store in Menlyn Park, Pretoria, while the second was at the Prela Square branch in Bloemfontein. The Menlyn Park store has since reopened, but the Bloemfontein outlet remains closed as investigations continue. Woolworths says both devices were set off between 1 and 2 a.m. Police have conducted thorough sweeps at both locations to rule out further threats, and the Hawks have been brought in to investigate. As a precaution, Woolworths says it has heightened vigilance across its stores nationwide and has appointed specialist forensic experts to bolster security and intelligence efforts alongside authorities. C. Malinga Mnisi, Eyewitness News.
Government has spent nearly 180 million rand so far to support and formalize the Spaza Shop sector through the Spaza Shop Support Fund, which was officially launched in April last year. A total of 500 million rand has been set aside for the sector, following growing calls to formalize it. The drive was also fueled by widespread protests across the country after the deaths of several children who allegedly died after eating products bought at unregulated Spaza shops. Alpha Ramushwana has more.
The National Empowerment Fund and the Small Enterprise Development Finance Agency are managing the fund. The NEF has approved 1,316 applications worth 80 million rand, and SEFTA has approved 1,053 applications worth 100 million rand. This means that 320 million rand is still available for registered Spaza shops to apply. Small Business Development Department Director General Tulisile Manzini says the money will go towards growing the sector.
The fund has contributed meaningfully towards government's transformation objective, with about 43% of approved enterprises being women-owned businesses, 18% youth-owned businesses, and 2% businesses owned by persons with disabilities.
Manzini also says some chancers have applied for funding even though they do not own a store. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
The case against 3 foreign nationals arrested at the Beitbridge Post while allegedly attempting to smuggle millions of rands worth of a substance used in the manufacture of mandrax into South Africa has been postponed to next Friday. The trio appeared in the Messina Magistrate Court where they're facing charges of dealing in drugs and contravention of the Customs Act. The suspects were arrested after authorities intercepted about 713,000 grams of methaqualone, commonly known as ABBA, hidden inside a truck traveling from Malawi through Zimbabwe into South Africa. Earlier today, Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber and Border Management Authority Commissioner Michael Masiapato told a media briefing that the consignment had an estimated street value of nearly 1 billion rand. Dimakatso Leshoro has more.
When the trio appeared before the Messina Magistrates Court, the value of the ABBA was stated as about 34 million rand, a significant difference from the 998 million rand announced during the media briefing earlier today. The Border Management Authority is yet to clarify the discrepancy in the valuation of the seized substance. The sharp discrepancy in valuation has raised questions over how the estimated street value was arrived at, whether different methodologies were used by authorities and prosecutors, and whether the substance was subjected to scientific laboratory analysis for confirmation. The two Malawian nationals and one Zambian national remain in custody while their papers are confirmed and their profiles are put together by police. It is not yet clear whether any additional charges will be added as investigations continue. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
And Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has sent out a stern warning to government departments and all municipalities, saying they might have their funding deducted. Godongwana visited the Ditsobotla municipality in the northwest to deliver Cabinet's financial recovery plan for the dysfunctional entity. The plan says the municipality must focus on decreasing its large debtors book, which also includes government departments. Godongwana says government departments defaulting on their municipal bill is a countrywide issue that needs to be addressed.
This year I've taken a decision that provincial and national government and public entities that owe municipalities, I'm going to deduct money from them and transfer it to the relevant municipalities. That amount is going to come back to this municipality in due course. But it must be utilized, we're going to ring fence it, it must be utilized to fix the potholes, not to any other thing.
In your financials, gold is trading at $4,517.58 an ounce. The rand is 16.23 to the dollar, 21.79 to the pound, and 18.90 to the euro. Brent crude oil is $92.28 a barrel.
Centurion traffic remains heavily backed up on the N1 northbound between the N14 Brakfontein interchange and the R21 Flying Saucer interchange due to an earlier accident. Sandton heading towards Midrand, you can still expect heavy delays on the M1 northbound between Grayston Drive and the N1 Ellendale off-ramp.
And in your sports, South Africa bids farewell to FIFA World Cup bound Bafana Bafana with a send-off friendly against Nicaragua. The Blitzboks have kicked off against Kenya in their pool encounters in Spain, while the United Rugby Championship playoff weekend has 3 South African sides still in the hunt for the title, and we have the latest from the Roland Garros third-round action.
Gauteng can anticipate a partly cloudy Saturday, Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 5 degrees, peaking at 22, Pretoria 6 and 23, Vereeniging 3 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, retail giant Woolworths has confirmed 2 explosions at its stores in Pretoria and Bloemfontein.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Visit primemediaplus.com to enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for the people, for our Josie.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, good to have you with us on the show. Hope your weekend is shaping up. Hope there are some interesting things that you've got lined up ahead. I want to share one of those quickly with you. Let me just see where I can find it. Oh, here we go. Dino says, I'll be training for a paintball tournament happening in 2 weeks. The shots hurt more in winter. I've only done paintball once. That was in summer. That hurt plenty. Good luck, Dino. I guess if you're training for a tournament, you've probably been shot with a paintball ball before. But anyway, I did ask what interesting things you're doing over the weekend. Dino, I'm going to leave that one to you if you don't mind. Coming up on the show, though, in the next half an hour, a couple of things that have come up you just heard in the news, Woolworths confirming 2 explosions, one in the Menlyn Park store, the other in Bloemfontein. We're going to be speaking to Stan Bezuidenhout. He is somebody who's expert in analyzing these kinds of incidents. He has a general forensic expertise that we're going to draw on. And he is somebody who, while not necessarily knowing exactly what's going on at Woolworths, will, I'm sure, be able to tell us what are the key questions not only we, the public, should be asking, but also those trying to resolve this particular thing would need to be asking as well. Speaking of questions, many of you had quite a few in regard to the National Lottery, switching after today from Ituba to the new operator, Sizekaya. We'll be talking to Sizekaya a little bit later in the show. Khotatso Mashile, head of marketing, will be with us at about 5:15. Some very practical questions that need answering that you've been asking. All that to be followed in the last half an hour by a songbook and a dish in the company of Zakes Bantwini. I'm really looking forward to that.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, greetings, Sean. I stay in Kliptown, Soweto, and I managed to buy mine from a local store here in Kliptown. Ali from Kliptown.
Yeah, thank you. And somebody else says, Munir says, this weekend is the High Rocks Joburg event at Nazareth. I'm taking part tomorrow. You really should profile it. It is the fastest growing and most popular fitness race globally. I will Google Munir because I don't know anything about it, but I wish you luck for the event. Anyone else doing High Rocks who wants to send me a short explanation, or Munir, perhaps you want to just follow up yourself, do that. Otherwise, I'll see what I can find online and share that with you. 11 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Santon, getting jammed up again. That was happening earlier. Still the same problem or something new?
No, it's definitely still the same problem, John. That's if you're heading towards Midrand. Expect some delays leaving Santon M1 northbound between Greyston Drive and the N1 Ellendale off-ramp. Bryanston, this is traveling towards Four Ways. Traffic remains sluggish. N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic in Edenvale. That's approaching Bedford View on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange. Devland traveling towards El Dorado Park. Slow-moving traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12, while in Centurion Tshwane expect heavy delays. This is on the N1 northbound from the N14 Brakfontein interchange all the way to the R21 Flying Saucer interchange due to an earlier accident. Irene. Traffic is congested approaching the intersection of Nelmapius Drive and Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance Pointsmen can't help you pass your license renewal eye test, but they can help you arrive on time. Seeing them on your route just makes you feel better. The Outsurance Pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so everyone gets where they need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
We should all expect a hike in the repo rate. The question is of how many basis points.
Inflation has actually been very much at the lower end for a very long time. The repo rates are really restrictive, and we saw some benefit of improved investor sentiment coming through. So Moody's moving the country to a positive outlook. This gives a strong argument that policy eventually can become less restrictive. But of course, as we know, earlier this year in April, we saw inflation creeping up to 4%.
Jason Hamilton, guest lecturer in corporate and development finance.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
When SA's biggest artists pull up on one stage, you just know that the hottest music fest of the year is going down. Scatterling's Music Festival happens on 1 August and features Zakes Bantwinis, Java, Sunel musician Jay Something, Msaki, JC Clegg, Simi, Trezor, Sminofu, and more. And it's going to be a big day filled with all the big hits live. So grab your tickets at webtickets.co.za. Now for Scatterling's Music Festival, Huddle Park, Johannesburg on 1 August. Brought to you by 702.
Get the hottest 100-buck deals this week at Food Lovers Market. Buy 2 500-gram packs of ground beef for only 100 Rand. A 7-kilogram potato pocket and a butternut pocket for a low 100 Rand per combo. And any 7 500-gram bags of Fatties and Moni's pasta for just 100 Rand. Valid until Sunday, 31 May, only at Food Lovers Market. It's in the experience.
Managing your workforce shouldn't be complicated. That's why businesses choose Onacy, a proudly South African cloud-based payroll and HR solution. From payroll and e-recruitment to performance management and self-service tools, we streamline the way businesses handle their people. Scalable, secure, and always online, our system evolves with your needs because your workforce deserves the best. Switch to Onacy and experience payroll and HR done right. Visit onacy.com today.
Mzansi, Take-A-Lot's senior cards, and boy have you been shopping. To say thank you for all your support, we're bringing you the Thanks a Lot sale. Get up to 60% off must-have beauty, sports gear, latest tech, TV and appliances, everyday essentials, toys and more. To know you is to spoil you. Shop the Take-A-Lot Thanks a Lot sale from 25 May to 7 June.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
16 minutes past 5, a bomb in the early morning on Thursday at the Woolworths store at Menlyn Park, and then almost 24 hours later in Bloemfontein at the Prella Square branch. What kind of questions do we need to ask in order to try and get an idea of what's going on? Let's welcome then, to guide us on this, Stan Bezuidenhout. He's a forensic specialist familiar with bombing incidents and a former founding member of the South African Terrorist Analysis Centre. Mr. Bezuidenhout, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. One thing that struck me, and I'd like your view on it, if these bombs are to make a point rather than to injure anybody, and that's clearly the intention so far, and I say that very pointedly, nobody has claimed responsibility. Nobody has said this is the point we're trying to make. How do you understand that? Does it strike you as strange?
Good evening, firstly, John, and good evening to your listeners. So first of all, I think we must understand that, unfortunately or sadly, we don't know that this is the end of the effort.
Yes.
If it was one Woolworths in one area and another store in another area, we could imagine that it's the retail environment that's being targeted. But clearly, this looks like it's targeted at this group.
Right.
So what worries me is if nobody has come forward yet, how do we know that this doesn't mean that they are not done yet? So if we see more incidents, they might want to get to some kind of, let's call it, final point where they've done a number of attacks or where they've achieved some kind of goal and they might then become public. But what's interesting to me is that, firstly, looking at this from a technical perspective, is the fact that we look at both instances, they talk about small explosive devices. Now, we don't know what that means.
Right.
It could mean it's a 1 kilogram device that wasn't very properly designed, built, or that the chemicals were not properly balanced, which resulted in only limited damage. Or it could mean it's something small like an actual military grade or even mining grade explosive put in a cigarette packet. Now, the actual design of the device is going to be a key component to look at here, because we don't know what we're dealing with,
right,
whether this is technically complex or advanced, or whether this is an improvised. I mean, imagine a disgruntled staff member wanting to teach the group a lesson and he's making his own little devices. Maybe that's what we have, but definitely the fact that it's done overnight when the stores are empty, when there's no risk, tells me that it's probably a target at the group rather than a target at any kind of people. But it's early days. We'll have to see where this unfolds and whether anymore. And I know we don't want to say that. The last thing I want to do is to jinx, as they say, environment. But it's funny to me that it's quiet and it's so limited and it's so small at this stage, and it looks to me much more like it might be an ongoing event rather than two isolated incidents.
Yeah, and do you think a point is being made by saying, okay, we did Menlyn Park, we did Pretoria, and we have the capability to go 460 kilometers in a day and do it in another part of the country? That would suggest there's a message there saying, don't underestimate us.
Absolutely. Either it's now the chances that it's multiple attackers that coordinate is lower simply on account of the fact that it has some time between them. If it happened on the same night, you could immediately conclude that it's multiple attackers. The fact that the attacker is moving from Gauteng all the way to the Free State and accessing a second store, getting inside it and then placing a second device leads us to ask, where is he headed to next and why did the attacker move so far? There are many Woolworths stores in this region, and there are actually more questions than answers. And the questions I'd like answered, if anybody were to entertain me, would be, what kind of device are we dealing with? How is the area controlled where these devices were deployed? In other words, is it security controlled? Is it common public areas? Is it staff-only areas? What kind of security protocols are in place in terms of footage? You might have to study footage for as far back as much as a month or two.
Yes.
And if the local security systems only record for 5, 6, 7 or 10 days, which is often the case, you might have no ability to detect who the actual perpetrator was.
Thank you so much. Important guiding questions there coming from Stan Bezuidenhout. He is a forensic specialist, very familiar with incidents like this where bombing is involved, and is a former founding member of the South African Terrorist Analysis Centre. It's 21 minutes past 5.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Okay, let's focus now on the fact that tonight is the last time the lottery will be administered by Ituba. From then, on the 1st of June, the new operators take over, step into the role of running South Africa's lottery, and that company is Sizekaya Holdings. You may have heard them chatting to Clement earlier this week. Quite a few of you, though, have had some questions in the course of the week. And to try and get some answers on those, we welcome Kgotatso Mashile, who's Sizekaya's head of marketing. Kgotatso, welcome. Thanks very much for giving us your time. One of the first questions we got was jackpots roll over if they're not won and not all the money is cleared out and claimed. Does the jackpot from tonight roll over to the debut offering of Sizekaya? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and afternoon to your listeners. Very exciting times, and to go straight into the order of the day, that is spot on. The rollover, the jackpot amount, should it not be won tonight, will roll over into the new Sizekaya Revolution. So that will be what we are continuing with. However, the pivot will be the cascading jackpots that we are introducing to sort of really kill that consistent rollover, never-ending rollover, where if it's not won and it continues to roll over the last draw of June, we are going to cascade Powerball Extra. So what is currently known as Powerball Plus, we have rebranded it as Powerball Extra, and we will cascade it down. So what does that mean, John? What that essentially means is that instead of it rolling over now into July, we are going to, if no one has won it on the 6 number or on the 5+1, which means 5 numbers plus bonus, we will just go down the cascade, where we will check, has anyone then won it on 5 numbers? No. Has anyone won it on 4 numbers?
Right.
No, and so on and so forth, so that we can ensure people actually win this jackpot money.
So the other question people are asking, winning tickets, that if people win tonight, whether it's the jackpot or smaller amounts, we understand, and you'll guide us on this, literally until Sunday evening sometime. I believe Ituba sales platforms active until 2030. After that, even if you bought an Ituba ticket, do people come and claim from Sizekaya?
That too is correct. So what happens is that the funds will obviously be transferred into a national lottery trust. So everything, obviously, we're just the operator. However, it is a national lottery trust. And of course, the tickets, anyone who purchases their ticket will be able to claim it at a later stage. Remember, ticket winners have 365 days to claim their winnings.
Okay.
So we will ensure that continues.
Thank you so much. Kgotatso Mashile joining us from Sizekaya Holdings, answering two of the most persistent questions that we've been getting from you. And I'm sure if more questions arise next week, we can always get Kgotatso, who is head of marketing, back and get him to clarify a few more things if needs.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
This is Baba Kupeka from the Val. Man, I've had a stroke and couldn't even send a comment or talk to you here on 702 WhatsApp. But at least now I can talk. May you have a splendid day to everyone at 702. You can recover and survive a stroke.
It's great to hear from you, and we wish you all the best, of course, as you continue to recover. Thank you so much for sending that voice note. You really made our day.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
In a city moving this fast, meaningful connection has become a luxury. On Sunday, 31 May, You and Me Africa brings together music, food, conversation and community for an elevated cultural experience in Sandton. Begins with a curated long table dining experience by Nella's Kitchen before moving into a rooftop sunset gathering featuring Lee Arts, Sir LSG and Soul Diva, Ms. Prince and more. You and Me Africa. Stay tuned to 702 for your chance to win some tickets.
In business, missed deliveries cost more than money. Go Girl Logistics is South Africa's 100% black female-owned Level 1 Triple BEE powerhouse, delivering secure, time-sensitive transport for parcels, cold chain cargo, and compliance waste. With DG trained drivers, cold chain certification, national reach, and real-time tracking, every load is handled professionally, safely, and on time. Go Girl Logistics. Power beyond cargo. Visit gogirl-logistics.com.
Evolution doesn't wait. Introducing the Chang'an Uni S. Unexpected, unmistakable, uncompromising. Engineered to a higher standard, unlike anything in its class. Unsurprising, really, from China's oldest automaker. Trusted by 30 million drivers worldwide. And at $4,999 per month, it's an unbeatable offer too. Chang'an Finance, T's and C's apply. Visit chang'anmotors.co.za for more. The Chang'an Uni S.
Chang'an, driven to evolve. You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive, 27 minutes past 5, business time.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, very good afternoon to you.
Afternoon to you, John. Yeah, well, oil prices a lot lower, and that, of course, giving everybody a little bit of space in which to breathe. Unfortunately, though, a bit of corporate news here, bringing our market down a little bit. Fascinating stories going on around SPAR, and they've had a really tough time. So by the end of the day, the JSE All Share down 0.35%, 114,695 points. Financials flat, industrials down 0.85%, resources down 0.05% on the day. The SPAR story really is incredible, John. So what happened was they put out an update today. They said they expect that their headline earnings per share will actually be down by between 50 and 60%. The result of that, I mean, you can imagine, but the result of that really was that their share price was down so dramatically. It was down 15% at the end of the day. And you can understand why the market does that. But they say there's been margin compression. In other words, they've been selling things at a very low price to try and get people in their stores. They did that particularly on Friday, on Good Black Friday. And then in KZN, they still have logistics issues. I mean, there's one big franchise owner there who's taking them to court over these issues, that they said they just didn't have enough logistics capacity planning, and so their services were disrupted. The franchise owners are going to quote that in court, I'm fairly certain. So they're down very strongly on the day. Aspen Pharmacare, the complete opposite picture. So they've finally been able to complete the divestment of their Aspen Asia Pacific business. They got 27 billion rand for it. They're going to use that to pay back debt. Obviously, they've got to try and strengthen their balance sheet as well, but they're up nearly 7.5% at the end of the day. And then Dischem, their CEO, Rumarea, he'll be on Your Money Show this evening. Their shares are down 7.8%, despite the fact their volumes were up strongly. I think 9% it was. What happened was that they've invested a lot in a new innovation unit, over 400 million rand. They say this is what they need to do to build a sort of moat around the company, John, protect it from change, but it did mean their headline earnings per share were down by 17% in the year to the end of February. More on that on the Money Show this evening. And then the City of Johannesburg's bonds are up for trading again on the JSE because they published their annual financial results yesterday. I had a very brief look just at the auditor's statement. I haven't been able to go through it all yet. I wouldn't be surprised if there are one or two stories about that in the Sunday newspapers. That's all I'm going to say. There seems to be a lot going on in the city of Joburg, as we all know. Pick n Pay is down 7.68% after their results earlier in the week. Telkom is down 4.25%. Clicks is down 3.6%, which might just put the Dischem result into a little bit of context if that sector is down, because Truworths is also down 3.38%. Shoprite are down nearly 3%. Sasol also, because of lower oil prices, they're down 2.6%. The Bytes Group is up 2.83%. Tungela is up 2% on the day. In the US, quite a lot of optimism about a possible deal between the US and Iran. That, of course, has pushed oil prices lower. The Dow Jones is up 0.7%. The Nasdaq is up 0.14%. The S&P 500 is up 0.22%. And then the gold price at the moment is $4,591.49. Platinum, $1,941.75. Brent crude, $90.21. The rand to the dollar is 16.18, to the euro 18.90, to the British pound 21.81. On the Money Show, obviously Dischem. We will talk too about International Burger Day. John? I mean, these things can pass you by if you don't pay attention. And we will also talk about the car of the year. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. The Money Show coming up, complete with hamburgers. Eyewitness News is brought to you by Momentum. Financial advisors help you have a better shot at generational wealth. Speak to a Momentum accredited financial advisor. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. Zinki Sachirwa with the latest.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The Madlanga Commission has taken possession of electronic devices belonging to Crime Intelligence Deputy Head Major General Feroz Khan. This emerged in the Johannesburg High Court today, where Khan's urgent bid to have the devices returned was removed from the role by agreement. Khan argues the devices contain highly sensitive information that could put lives at risk if released. The devices were seized earlier this month during his arrest on charges linked to the alleged possession of raw gold. Ngosikona Malinga Mnisi reports.
Major General Khan now heads back to the drawing board in his bid to recover his electronic devices. Their handover to the Madlanga Commission means they are no longer under police control, rendering his application moot. In court today, Khan's lawyer Zubair Khan criticized the SAPS, cited as respondents for their handling of the application, including delays and poor communication. Meanwhile, Khan is expected back in court in July alongside two co-accused in connection with the gold-related case. Or see Malinga Mnisi, Eyewitness News in Johannesburg.
Higher Education and Training Minister Buti Manamela has come under fire from MPs who accuse him of political interference following his decision to dissolve the National Student Financial Aid Scheme Board. Members of the Higher Education Committee have also raised serious concerns about how Manamela held a meeting with the dissolved board without a prior notice and with no agenda. But Manamela has defended his decision, saying he was empowered by law to make the move. Babalondenze reports.
Minister Buti Manamela was back before the committee after previously failing to meet with MPs who demanded answers about his decision. Manamela dissolved the NSFAS board and placed the entity under administration earlier this month. But his decision has come under heavy scrutiny from parties and MPs like the EFF's Sihle Lonzi.
That at the center of the dissolution of the NSFAS board is your wanting to somehow have some interfere in the appointment of the NSFAS CEO.
Manamela denied this,
And I must indicate that this was not a political fight with the board, but it was a legal governance intervention which was intended to protect the NSFAS and students.
Manamela says the decision followed governance failures at the Student Funding Agency and how the board did not comply with certain provisions of the NSFAS Act. Babalo Ndanza, Eyewitness News.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has sent out a stern warning to government departments and all municipalities, saying they might have their funding deducted. Godongwana visited the Ditsobotla municipality in the northwest to deliver Cabinet's financial recovery plan for the dysfunctional entity. The plan says the municipality must focus on decreasing its large debtors book, which also includes government departments. Godongwana says government departments defaulting on their municipal bill is a countrywide issue that needs to be addressed.
This year I've taken a decision that provincial and national government and public entities that owe municipalities, I'm going to deduct money from them and transfer it to the relevant municipalities. That amount is going to come back to this municipality in due course, but it must be utilized. We're going to ring fence it. It must be utilized to fix the potholes, not to any other thing.
And emergency crews have responded to reports that 3 people have fallen from a height at a block of flats in South London. It's understood the victims are a man, woman and child. Sky News is reporting that the deaths are being treated as unexpected. Officers say there are no other reported injuries, adding they are working to formally identify the victims. A quick look at your weather. Gauteng will be partly cloudy tomorrow. Temperatures dropping to overnight lows of between 3 and 5 degrees and peaking at highs of between 22 and 23.
Devland, we still have slow-moving traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12. Sandton heading towards Midrand, still expect some delays on the M1 northbound from Greyston Drive to the N1 Ellendale off-ramp, and in Bryanston heading towards four-ways traffic sluggish. N1 southbound from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive.
The top story in EWN, the Madlanga Commission has taken possession of electronic devices belonging to Crime Intelligence Deputy Head Major General Feroz Khan.
They say the early bird catches the worm. Great advice, unless you're the worm. Generic so-called wisdom doesn't work for everyone, so I settle for a financial plan that's one size fits some. Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to get to really know your unique situation. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people for the people on Sunday 26 July. Babize Bonke. And this year you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 8-kilometer 44 Main Street route takes you from Ellis Park through Maboneng and Jewel City, past the Field of Dreams and the Maharishi Invincibility Institute. You then go through the Main Street precinct, Gandhi Square, and past the Carlton Centre, finishing off at Ellis Park. So whether you're taking on the 8K, 5K or 15K, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. See you there.
That's Fani before he got naked. Fani's insurance premium went up for no reason, irritating him more than when the boys ignored the really funny meme he posted in the group chat. What? So Fani got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Go Fani. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Mzansi, petrol prices have hit our pockets hard this year. And now Powerball is going up too. This Friday is the final Powerball draw under Ituba's National Lottery license, where you can still play for just 5 Rand a board. From next week, that same Powerball board will cost 10 Rand. So, before the price doubles, make your 5 Rand count. Play this Friday for an estimated 223 million Rand in total jackpots, 118 million Rand on Powerball, and 105 million Rand on Powerball Plus. One last Powerball draw under Ituba. One last 5 Rand chance. Get your tickets now in store on National Lottery .co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Pada, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
EWN Sport.
22 minutes to 6. Bafana have a plane to catch on Sunday. They have a friendly match tonight. Here's Anthony Teixeira with those and other stories.
Yeah, that's right, John. Good afternoon. Bafana playing their FIFA World Cup farewell friendly against Nicaragua at the Orlando Stadium today at 6 p.m. Tembazwane will captain the makeshift side with Lau Foster leading the line. Olwethu Makanya makes his debut and looks to make that centre-back position his own.
Personally, I believe I have all the qualities to play in that position, and I don't think I'm here to compete with anyone, because I believe everyone in this team has the qualities to be here. It's all about when you're given an opportunity, you just go in there and do the job.
The UEFA Champions League final will be happening at 24 hours later, set for Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Arsenal will be aiming to dethrone the reigning champs PSG. It is, of course, earlier than the usual finals. Well, the Blitzboks capped off the opening day of the Valladolid Sevens with a 14-0 win over Kenya. The 15th game will see the United Rugby Championship playoffs. Tonight, the Glasgow Warriors host Connacht, while South African sides all play their quarterfinals tomorrow. The Bulls will be up against Munster at Loftus. Stormers tackle Cardiff at the DHL Stadium. And the Lions have arguably the toughest task of all as they head to the Aviva to take on the defending champs Leinster. It's the first appearance they've had in the playoffs for the Joburg side. Coach Ivan van Rooyen feels they've grown into their season.
Really well done to the players for stepping up and bringing it week in, week out. Like I said, obviously we weren't happy with the start, the first 3 games, but I think from there's been some nice growth in all the facets of our game. For the previous 3 seasons, there was always this one game, if we just this game or just that moment. And I think this year we won a lot more of that small moments that eventually became the bigger moments.
IPL cricket on the go with the qualifier 2. The Double R's are 171 for 5 up against the Gujarat Titans. That's after 17 overs, going at over 10 runs to the over. While in tennis, a women's number 170, Jill Teachman, has dumped out the 11th ranked player Caroline Muchova in the Roland Garros third round. Live on court, Novak Djokovic winning the first 2 sets 6-4 against João Fonseca. Elina Svitolina a set to the good against Tamara Kospach. And the MotoGP's out in Italy with the race set for Sunday, 2 p.m. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
19 minutes to 6. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie, how are we looking?
Well, at this stage, John, in the Devland area, slow-moving traffic. That's driving towards Eldorado Park on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12. Lenasia, traffic pressure on the R554 Nirvana Drive. That's between the N1 bridge and the Golden Highway. While in Sandton, heading towards Midrand, you can still expect some delays on the M1 northbound from Grayston to the N1 Ellendale off-ramp. Bryanston, also traffic a bit sluggish on the N1 southbound from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive. While in Edenvale, expect some delays heading towards Bedfordview. That's the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange. In Tshwane, traffic remains heavily backed up. That's in the Centurion area on the N1 northbound between the N14 Brakfontein interchange and the R21 Flying Saucer interchange due to an earlier accident. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Things people stress about in traffic. Number 49. What's that random warning light that keeps popping up on my car's dashboard? Oh, the mystery. Well, with the Outsurance Pointsman on your route, at least the traffic is one less thing to stress about. The Outsurance Pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive. It's 17 minutes to 6. Still to come on the show. A song, a book, and a dish. We'll be in the company of somebody who knows a lot about songs. I'm keen to hear what his favorite book is. And, of course, we always have to talk about food. Zakes Bantwini, my guest on 702 Drive in just a moment.
it was actually a flawless process.
It definitely pays to switch.
I wish we had done it sooner.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know, when you claim, your excess is a fixed amount, not a percentage of the claim. For beauty salons, convenience stores, and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now. Save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
It's game day, and the family's facing off against the Snotties and Flemmies. Dad's down! Blocked sinus and mucus is gaining ground!
New game plan. Let's bring in the ACC team. With ACC, Mom's got the winning play. Entering the field, ACC helps break down mucus and clear the airways. Choose the winning team when you're facing Snotties and Flemmies. If it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
A song, a book, and a dish.
On 702.
702 Drive, welcome back. Now, to say my guest is a musician would be to missing out on all the other many, many things he has done, because he produces music. He's an entrepreneur. He's somebody involved in the lives of other people who aspire to being musicians like him, entrepreneurs as successful as he has been. Zakes Bantwini has won many, many awards. He's done many things. He's just released some new music. We're delighted to say he's right here in the studio with us, right here at 702 Drive. Zakes, welcome. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I want to get a sense of the Bantwini household in KwaMashu and the music that's going on. Is it coming from the radio? Is it coming from you and your three siblings? Are your parents singing? What's happening? What music are you hearing as you're growing up?
Struggle songs.
Okay.
Mostly. And then television provided American music, the music videos. I think I saw my life in modeling my life based on music videos. Like, this is the life that I want to live, and which means for me to live this life, I have to be a musician, because I could see this life, through a music video. I guess that's where even the love of music really, came about. It was also attached to a lifestyle that I used to see on TV.
So who are you seeing? I mean, there's probably a good number of them,
Yeah,
but if you had to pick two?
No, there's one actually. It's just that we don't talk about him right now. It's R. Kelly. Yeah, that's a person that I grew up watching and seeing his music videos, and I was like, when I'm older, I'm probably gonna get myself this car that he's driving, of which luckily I did, yeah.
Tell me, while you watching, are you singing along? Are you doing the moves?
I'm still a dancer.
Are you in front of the TV and your siblings are saying, "Yo, Zakes, come"? We also want to watch.
I am like every other typical township boy. I'm a good soccer player. I'm an Orlando Pirates supporter and also Arsenal supporter.
You're having a good year.
Yeah, yes. So I'm playing soccer. I'm also a dancer. So this is happening all at the same time, So I'm hearing music, Kwaito, is all over, and I'm also dancing, and I think that's when I think the expression of music and the expression of me as a young person like really kicked in, because I could only do it. There was nothing else to do. It's either you're going to play soccer, or you're dancing, or something else.
I mean, of course, you have to go to school as well. So
definitely,
if I find your grade 6 teacher from Shawamoya Primary,
yes.
What are they going to say about
Shawamoya? Wow.
You sent me your list.
Wow, Shawamoya, yes. I mean, Shawamoya Primary School. I think I will remember
Pungula, I think it's Mrs. Pungula.
Yes.
That was like my highlight. I would like to highlight her as a person who really showed me so much love, because there was Memlinda who really hated me. I felt like this teacher really hated me. So Mem Pungula, she kind of like made it amazing for me to go to school, because at sometimes I didn't want to go to school because of Mrs. Linda.
Yeah. So you go on to UKZN.
Yes.
To study what?
So I first studied at Technical Natal, which is which became DUT. I'm studying music. Because I think when I was young, I think I was like 18 years old, I got an opportunity to go overseas and to do dance. So I used to do different dance genres, contemporary dance, ballet and stuff, but I couldn't say that I was dancing ballet in the township, because I was going to be seen as weak.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I came back now from Europe, and then my mother was like, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "I wanted to do music," and she said, "Okay, then everything that you wanna do, you have to study. So go study music." So I went to study music, and I think with the merger of all the institution, then the music department had to go to UKZN, which I ended up going to UKZN to finish my music studies.
So your mom, Norm Tandazo, if I'm correct, your mom, your dad, are they right behind you when you say, "I'm going to make a career from music"? Any reservations where they say, "Yeah, but what are you going to do for a job?"
Yes, my mother had it, but she was also supportive, because my elder brother has an honors degree in chemical engineering. So my elder brother studying toward engineering, and there I am studying music. So, and growing up in the township, where am I gonna work? It was such a. I mean, I overheard the conversation between my mother and her friends, saying, "Yo, Zakele is studying how to play a guitar. I don't even know where he's going to work." So it was always a worry for her, but she was also very, very supportive of my music industry, also my music career.
It's an interesting thing. We asked you to choose a dish, but before we talk about what you're eating now, because you've got a high-pressured lifestyle, and I sense that you're looking to eat as healthily as you can. But family time around food, did you have good memories of that? And what were you talking about? What were you eating?
I mean, when I was younger, my lunch was not. I didn't know if I was going to have lunch or not.
Yes.
But at least dinner was guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
But I ate a lot of beans,
Yeah.
Beans and cabbage and obviously samp and we'll call it uputu. Those are like stuff that I grew up eating a lot, but I still eat it right now. I think it's something that really reminds me of so much poverty would be a powder milk.
Mm-hmm.
Powder milk, I don't even want to taste powder milk because it reminds me of pain and poverty. So yeah, but everything else, it was good, man. We'll gather at home, we'll sing, and then we'll eat. It would be a feast.
You say you'd sing what?
We would sing gospel.
Okay.
We'll sing traditional songs. We'll sing whatever that is there to sing. Then
Yes.
we'll sing, And
Sing for your supper, hey?
We'll sing, literally. That was it. literally. Yeah.
Zax, we asked you about food, and you said fish and veggies, and you saying healthy lifestyle. I mean, is that part of it? I mean, do you have a very disciplined, because you're incredibly busy, you're traveling a lot, and presumably when you're on stage, you've got to be match fit, eh?
Yes,
going back to
definitely.
the soccer. So do you stick quite strictly to what you've just shared with us?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I don't eat carbs.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know when was the last time I had bread. I limit my red meat. So white meat is something that I will eat, which fish or chicken. But the red meat, I will really limit my intake of red meat. I'm a lover of tea as well, so I drink a lot of tea.
Yeah.
But because I drink a lot of tea, then I had to completely change the intake of sugar. So I would take just one, even just quarter of. It started being like one full teaspoon. Now it's a quarter, and I think the idea is obviously to get to a point where I don't have sugar at all. I really watch what I eat. Yeah.
I want to talk about your book, because the book is called Empire's State of Mind.
Yeah.
How Jay-Z Went from Street Corner to Corner Office. The author is Zach O'Malley Greenberg, if people want to get hold of the book. Clearly an important book for you.
Yeah.
Because it was a good read, or are you reading it for learnings and lessons and inspiration?
It's exactly that. It was learning and lessons and inspiration. That's exactly what I read the book for. And it really opened my mind around the industry in which I operate in, which is the entertainment industry. It's the reason even why I went to Harvard to study the business of entertainment, media, and sports. This comes from reading that book and how Jay-Z has managed to convert and become an institution in its he and himself, and become a conglomerate, if I may say, in the music industry, and a mogul, and how he's managed to convert both his brand and other brands and make it and exist in different in the industries, but which it takes the energy from just music, but now is into a beverage business, is into sports now, is into private equity. He has a private equity fund, and all of those things are things that I read about in that book. How he moves, and I got inspired. And then I was like, for me, like my mother would always say, you wanna get into that, you wanna have to go to school. So that then I applied at Harvard and to go and study that. Yeah.
So it sounds like your mom sticks to that. Okay, if you're gonna do it properly.
Yeah.
Go and study it.
Go and study it. Yes.
We're gonna play your choice of music in a moment, Zakes. But I want to talk more generally about music. Music comes to you, but I'm sure you also go looking for music.
Yes.
And in that mix, do you record it into your phone?
Yes.
Do you wake up in the middle of the night? Anyone who's close by knows that at 3 a.m. they're going to hear Zakes starting to put things together. How does it work, or is it never just one thing?
No, all of it. I mean, I would have an idea. I would wake up with an idea. It's on the phone. It comes. But when it comes, because it is a gift. When it comes, it needs to be recorded somewhere.
Yes.
It needs to be recorded somewhere, because you're definitely gonna forget, and you're gonna forget that melody that you had. Like, there was this melody that I had, and I don't know how many melodies I've lost, because the music for me is melody.
Yes.
In the music is melody. Music is not words, because words is like you're an author. You're not a musician. You're an author. But to be a musician is for you to be able to write melodies. So once a melody comes to you, because you can always add words afterwards, but you just need to get the right melody.
And I hope your phone is backed up. I'm sure it is. Zakes, we hear in the background the song you've chosen from the thousands of pieces of music you've engaged with. Fela Kuti, What a No Get Energy, and you describe him as your muse. Tell us why.
I mean, I think Fela Kuti really used the power of music to highlight what was happening, what is happening in Africa, and what was happening obviously in Nigeria. He speaks to what is happening in the country when you listen to his albums, but the way he's speaking about the issues, or the current issues that are happening in his country, he tells it in such a beautiful way.
Yes.
But there's a story in it. You can literally tell there's a story, and this music comes from somewhere, and it wants to exist and address an issue.
And
I love that.
Zakes, we're coming to the end, but you got a new album out.
Yes.
Give us the title so people can
The
look out
album,
for it.
the album is called Echoes of Botanical Gardens. That's what the album is called. Yeah. So I was excited about it. I think one thing that excites me is that. And then I think about a week ago, I launched my foundation, Zexman 20 Foundation.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I think the Zexman Foundation is, we're also, looking at assisting at young people who want to enter into the industry by giving them tools and giving them access into the infrastructure for them to make their dreams come true. So those are very exciting things for me, this album and my foundation.
We'll have to clock in with you again, but thank you so much,
thank you for
Zexman 20, for sharing with us your song, your book, and your dish. Let's enjoy his muse. Here's Fela. The wonderful music choice of a wonderful musician. This has been 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. The show put together by Jonathan Fairburn and Rifue Litsua Karabo Malapile is our technical producer. Whatever you're doing this weekend, hope it's wonderful, hope it's restful. Hope you will be back with us on Monday. We'll be with you at 3 o'clock. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Business Banking. Payment habits have changed. Convenience decides the sale. Stay ahead with real-time payments, seamless checkout, and smarter fraud tools. Good evening. On your Friday edition of Your Money Show tonight, Dis-Chem spends more money on innovation, but at a temporary cost to its bottom line. In a time of tighter inflation and higher beef prices, can we still celebrate International Burger Day? And we investigate the 2026 car of the year. It's massive, it's rugged, and it's Chinese. All of that to come, but first, the very latest Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I'm Zingisa Cherwa. Retail giant Woolworths has confirmed 2 explosions at its stores in Pretoria and Bloemfontein. In a statement, the company says improvised explosive devices were detonated, one yesterday and the other in the early hours of this morning. Woolworths says no one was injured in either incident. However, some staff have been affected and support is being provided. Ngosikona Malinga Mnisi reports.
The first explosion occurred at the Woolworths store in Menlyn Park, Pretoria, while the second was at the Prela Square branch in Bloemfontein. The Menlyn Park store has since reopened, but the Bloemfontein outlet remains closed as investigations continue. It was set off between 1 and 2 a.m. Police have conducted thorough sweeps at both locations to rule out further threats, and the Hawks have been brought in to investigate. As a precaution, Woolworths says it has heightened vigilance across its stores nationwide and has appointed specialist forensic experts to bolster security and intelligence efforts alongside authorities. Or see Kona Malinga Mnisi, Eyewitness News.
Government has spent nearly 180 million rand so far to support and formalize the spaza shop sector through the Spaza Shop Support Fund, which was officially launched in April last year. A total of 500 million rand has been set aside for the sector, following growing calls for it to formalize. The drive was also fueled by widespread protests across the country after the deaths of several children who allegedly died after eating products bought at unregulated spaza shops. Alfara Mushwana has more.
The National Empowerment Fund and the Small Enterprise Development Finance Agency are managing the fund. The NEF has approved 1,316 applications worth 80 million rand, and SEFTA has approved 1,053 applications worth 100 million rand. This means that 320 million rand is still available for registered spaza shops to apply. Small Business Development Department Director General Tulisile Manzini says the money will go towards growing the sector.
The fund has contributed meaningfully towards government's transformation objective, with about 43% of approved enterprises being women-owned businesses, 18% youth-owned businesses, and 2% businesses owned by persons with disabilities.
Manzini also says some chancers have applied for funding even though they do not own a store. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
The case against 3 foreign nationals arrested at the Beitbridge border post while allegedly attempting to smuggle millions of rands worth of a substance used in the manufacture of mandrakes into South Africa has been postponed to next Friday. The trio appeared in the Messina Magistrate Court, where they are facing charges of dealing in drugs and contravention of the Customs Act. The suspects were arrested after authorities intercepted about 713,000 grams of methaqualone, commonly known as ABBA, hidden inside a truck traveling from Malawi through Zimbabwe into South Africa. Earlier today, Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber and Border Management Authority Commissioner Michael Masiapato announced that the consignment had an estimated street value of nearly 1 billion rand. Demakatso Leshuru has more.
When the trio appeared before the Messina Magistrates Court, the value of the ABBA was stated as about 34 million rand, a significant difference from the 998 million rand announced during the media briefing earlier today. The Border Management Authority is yet to clarify the discrepancy in the valuation of the seized substance. The sharp discrepancy in valuation has raised questions over how the estimated street value was arrived at, whether different methodologies were used by authorities and prosecutors, and whether the substance was subjected to scientific laboratory analysis for confirmation. The 2 Malawian nationals and 1 Zambian national remain in custody while their papers are confirmed and their profiles are put together by police. It is not yet clear whether any additional charges will be added as investigations continue. Demakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
And Uganda has confirmed 2 new Ebola cases. This brings the total to 9, including 1 fatality. The news comes as the Ministry of Health closed the borders temporarily, with only authorized crosses for outbreak response allowed. The outbreak began in the Democratic Republic of Congo's Ituri province, which is in the northeastern part of the country, bordering Uganda and South Sudan. And in your financials, gold is trading at $4,517.58 an ounce. The rand is 16.23 to the dollar, 21.79 to the pound, and 18.90 to the euro. Brent crude oil is $92.28 a barrel.
And in your sport, kickoff at the Orlando Stadium between Bafana Bafana and Nicaragua, a first of 2 World Cup warm-up matches for the South Africans. Successful day for the Blitzboks in Spain, while the Stormers, Bulls and Lions are gearing up for their URC quarterfinal clashes. And we round up some results from Roland Garros.
Gauteng can anticipate a partly cloudy Saturday. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 5 degrees, peaking at 22. Pretoria 6 and 23. Vereeniging 3 and 22 degrees. Cape Town will be partly cloudy tomorrow, becoming clear with a gentle southeasterly breeze at a low of 13 and a high of 20. The top story in EWN this hour, retail giant Woolworths has confirmed 2 explosions at its stores in Pretoria and Bloemfontein.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you are traveling through Vlakfontein, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the N1 northbound between the R558 and the N12. Also in Eldorado Park, you can still expect some delays. Actually expect about a 20-minute delay on the N12 westbound between the N1 and Klipspruit Valley Road. Still in Devland, there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12. Heading into Soweto, traffic heavily backed up. This is on Chris Hani Road, opposite UJ campus, while in the Mother City. There's slow-moving traffic on the N1 outbound approaching Belleville. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
And now, The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Business Banking. Payment habits have changed. Convenience decides the sale. Stay ahead with real-time payments, seamless checkout, and smarter fraud tools. Good evening. Welcome to the program. I'm Stephen Grootes. 7 minutes after 6 the time. I have no idea what's going on with these two explosions at Woolworths. I mean, both of them outside of sort of working hours. There was, I think, at least one. So one Pretoria, one Bloemfontein, where 5 packers were working. Must have been very, very scary for them. So it doesn't seem to be, I mean, we don't know what this is. Might be unconnected at this point. We simply have no idea, and we've always got to be very, very careful in these moments. You can understand, though, how worried I think people will be, and of course, Woolworths being a big brand, the big brand that it is, people will be talking about it. If we get any more information, if something happens, we will bring that to you, and I'm fairly certain as well that the police will be taking this very, very seriously, simply because they're places that are, frequented by so many people. So you would just be watching that story very closely, but I'm afraid I have no new information or even insights at this stage. You just go straight into speculation if you're not careful with this. I was thinking a little bit, because we're going to talk about the car of the year in about half an hour. It's the T2. My first thought was that was the movie Terminator 2, but it's the Jetour T2, and there are all sorts of conversations about it. So here's a question I'd like to put to you, which is the car in your life you've enjoyed the most? Not the best car. Often the best car that you've ever had is the car you have now. Often, not always, but often. But the car you've enjoyed the most. And I'll tell you what mine was. It was a 1984 City Golf Mark II. There were problems with it. The doors didn't always open sometimes. And there was a brief period where, unfortunately, if I wanted to lock the car, the only way in was then in through the boot. I was young, it didn't matter. There's laughter coming from a corner of the studio, but it did mean that every morning, if I had parked it in that kind of place, I literally had to unlock the boot and then go in and sort of climb through. It was the only way to get into the car if I'd locked it. So, I mean, it had one or two problems. The fan didn't switch on. It had a special button. We called it the turbo boost button. It had one great advantage, which was it had a great radio that you could take out and carry with you, and I did. I had to carry it with me when I was climbing in through the boot, which played tapes. And you know what great about tapes in a car like that? They don't skip, because no matter what CD player you put in a car like that, it would skip. I was young, and that's why I enjoyed it so much. It was, the worst car I've ever had, by far, on a technical basis, but it was fun. I was young. What could possibly go wrong? Your best car, please. You might have an experience like that. You might not. You might just like the car that you drive now, gives you the best experience. But please, 072 702 1702, ahead of our conversation about the car of the year tonight. We will speak to Roy Morais, the CEO of Dis-Chem, in a moment about their results. In about 10 minutes, we will look at beef inflation, what that means for what we're eating, but particularly because it's been International Hamburger Day or Burger Day. Chicken burgers, of course, are hugely popular. And we will talk about the Jetour T2, which is being crowned the best car or the car of the year in South Africa. All of that to come. Good to hear from you. Your best car that you've enjoyed driving the most, please. On 011 883 0702 and 021 446 0567. Just gone 11 minutes after 6.
The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
and DSTV channel 856.
Well, Dis-Chem reporting today its headline earnings per share down by 17% in the year to the end of February. Their sales volumes were up strongly, but they've invested heavily in a new innovation unit. Roy Morais is the CEO at Dis-Chem. Roy, good evening. Good to chat again. So your group revenue was actually up by 9%. Your retail revenue up by 9% as well. Are you happy with that growth? I mean, there's strong competition in your space, as you know.
Evening, Stephen. So yes, I'm very happy with the growth. I think that growth generated strong market share gains for us on the back of our launch of Better Rewards. And Better Rewards as a program is so intrinsically linked to kind of our purpose, which is to reduce the cost of care, through mechanisms such as a reward program. So very pleased with the top line growth.
Obviously, your retail expenses there, that was a big item. They were up by 15%. Where's the money going? You're investing quite heavily in ex-Bigley Labs.
Yeah, so I think if you think about looking at our retail business, I think you have to look at it from this perspective. So I mean, core retail, which is effectively how we traded as a retail unit, was actually up 20.1% in profitability, and that was driven, through positive operating leverage, which was like strong like-for-like revenue growth versus muted like-for-like sales cost growth. But ultimately, a lot of those earnings were invested in ex-Bigly Labs. The way that we think about it, I mean, we're obviously transitioning from a retail pharmacy to an integrated healthcare provider. We also acknowledge that we live in a world where competitive retail in South Africa is shifting at a very fast pace. And, this concept of internal disruption to stay relevant as opposed to stay safe is very important in an organization like ourselves. I mean, we need to remain relevant for the long term, and defending our position in our healthcare services traffic through innovation and being relevant for the South African consumer is a function of the investment that we made.
So what kind of innovation are you hoping to see? I mean, I know you don't want to spill any secrets because, they might be listening. But, I mean, can you give us any hints of what you're looking at?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the proof points already delivered is the Store of the Future design that we launched in Melrose Arch, which is a health hub. I think when people see it optically, they do potentially consider it a flagship store or a concept store. It's not any of that. It's very much the format that you will see roll out to both the existing Dis-Chems and the new Dis-Chems. And if you experience that space, what you do experience is a fundamental different pharmacy and clinic experience. So the ways of working that live behind the physical space have changed. And the purpose of that change is to acknowledge that, consumers in South Africa have experienced pharmacy in a specific way for more than 40, 50 years. It's a mechanism that allows us to unlock value and give credibility to doing pharmacy differently. So, I mean, that would be one of the proof points. We also launch our mobile application, which is effectively a manifestation of everything that is physical into the digital space. And more to come. But those are the two proof points that have landed in conjunction with Better Rewards.
So, I mean, do you have any idea of what the future of pharmacy then looks like? Because you've got huge investments in your physical stores. People still go to them. I mean, I don't need to remind you of that.
Sure.
Are you expecting that model to change significantly? Is that still going to be around for quite a long time?
So I think the physical presence of space is always important, but I think how you use that physical space needs to change. So, you have to create an environment for consumers to engage with your brand both physically and digitally at their choice. So, I mean, for example, if I had to throw forward, a pharmacy world in the medium term, who's to say that you couldn't ingest a script digitally, like via app? All of the administrative burden, which is currently a pharmacist sitting there capturing, can be done through occipital recognition. The submission to your scheme can happen, while you make your way to the store, while you select delivery to happen. And we can pick and pack in 2 minutes as opposed to a 20-minute wait in pharmacy in a queue with sick people. Sure. I mean, that's an example of what the physical space at Melrose enables and how I certainly think about pharmacy in the future.
How quickly is that happening? I mean, you've spent, I think it's over 400 million rand you've invested. I can see why you've done that. Do you have any idea of how long it'll take to pay off? I mean, it did affect your headline earnings this year. Do you expect it to be repaid next year and perhaps even more so the year after?
We do. I mean, it's obviously an investment that's chasing down a significant amount of EBIT or earnings over the long term. We anticipate incremental returns on it in FY27 and then significant returns post that in FY28 and 29. I mean, what I described in terms of format, really talks to how we reinvent and lift the format of our existing network. I mean, all stores that we deliver from the 1st of August will get Store of the Future format design. So, South African consumers, certainly by the end of this financial year, can expect another 25 stores that look and feel very differently to how they've experienced the brand. And thereafter, a quick turnaround in terms of how we lift the rest of the network.
Do you think it's going to affect the number of people you employ over the longer term?
I think that we need to combine the benefits of what is a digital world with physical employment. I think as a care provider, you have to respect the fact that human interaction is always going to exist. I think the way that I described the pharmacy journey earlier, what we've done in the Store of the Future is we've allowed our clinical practitioners, our clinic sisters, our pharmacists to operate at the top of their scope. There's no good employing a clinician which is under-resourced in South Africa and then asking them to capture admin or sit in front of a PC or pick and pack stock. They are there and they exist to deliver care, and we need to shorten the amount of time that a consumer engages with them, but we certainly need to deliver higher quality care. And you can only do that in a world where you combine digital and physical.
Roy, I do need to ask about the situation, this controversy around the situation in Gaza. So a shareholder of yours, Mark Saltzman, he's in fact, a son of the people who started Dis-Chem. He's being investigated for what he said on X about the situation there. And actually, this is kind of nothing to do with you. He owns shares. You can't do anything about that. He doesn't hold any job with you or any office or any director. So in many ways, it's nothing to do with you. But there are headlines around. It's a very divisive issue. Is it having an impact on you?
I think importantly, as a brand, it doesn't. I mean, we distance ourselves completely from those comments. I think it's always hurtful to go through a process like this. As someone who leads the organization, as a brand that is committed to, reducing cost and increasing access, and the consequence of that is driving economic growth. And it's a sad thing to go through something that deteriorates away from that. So I think, what we've done as a brand is reminded our employees of the reason why we exist and the importance of their role in establishing what we do. Have we seen an impact? I mean, of course, there's always an impact when these kind of things surface. We haven't been able to see how material the impact is. It's very new and very fresh, but certainly the way that we think about it as an organization, it does most certainly not represent how we think about it and the stance that we take. And we will do everything to defend the brand, because the brand has the ability to do incredible things for South Africans, and South Africans require that of the brand. And that's certainly the message that we communicate internally, and will continue to be the message that we communicate externally as well.
Roy Maresh, really appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed for the time. The CEO at Dis-Chem.
The Money Show Explainer.
Well, it's a Friday, and you can be forgiven for having missed International Burger Day yesterday, because you're obviously allowed to celebrate it at supper time tonight. I should warn you, though, the price that you pay for a burger has been going up so strongly. The foot and mouth outbreak obviously pushing up the price of beef. Andrew Fulton is the director at 80/20. They've been looking at the numbers it takes to make up a burger and burger consumption. Andrew, good evening. I mean, the main part, obviously, for most of us, you sort of immediately think of the meat. A beef patty, that price has gone up dramatically over the last year.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for having us on the show. It's actually all the ingredients, to be honest. But yeah, beef is obviously the headline story. Every month for the past year, at least half of the top 10 highest inflation items have been meat products. So when we built an infographic of the inflation rates on various parts of it, and beef was sitting at 23.8%. But cheddar cheese, 10.2%, tomatoes, 10.9%, lettuce, 10.1%. The bun was the lowest at 5.5%. And then, of course, you've got to factor in your electricity, which is 0.4%. So quite a significantly more expensive burger.
As a fruit. All of that suddenly becomes quite important, but it is interesting to see how the price has changed. There's also been a bit of a move to other types of burger, and I think that's important too. Let's just see if we can continue that conversation. I think it is quite interesting. It also gets to the heart of where people are spending money and why, and that's important, obviously, because you're trying to sort of see how patterns are changing, and you'll know how much time and money people put into the advertising of different fast food brands. And that really tells you that there is a huge market around for people to actually try and get into. And if you can crack it, if you can get into that fast food market, there's plenty of money to be made. And I think that tells you something too, that it really does sort of help people understand what exactly is happening in that market and why you want to try and crack it. I think we're battling a little bit to try and get Andrew Fulton, unfortunately, but we'll see if we are able to try and continue that conversation with him about International Burger Day. He, of course, has been looking at the prices of burgers and just getting a deeper understanding at some of what's changed and some of what hasn't. We'll try and get back to him in just a moment and see if we're able to do that. In the meantime, we've had one or two voice notes coming in. I asked the question...
87 Sport. It was yellow in color, and I used to call it mellow yellow. Yeah, it carried me through up until I got married, man. It was one of the best cars that I ever had, and I regret having to sell that car. Great show, man.
Thank you. Yeah, the first car. And I laugh when I hear you say I had it until I got married. How many young men have had to change the car they got when they got married? When you just get that sense, it's not even spoken. Just not going to be happy with that car. You know, it's just not going to happen. And you just know. And immediately that is what changes, because that's, is kind of how the world works. It's a very interesting thing. You're with The Money Show. It's 24 minutes after 6.
The Money Show.
The markets.
Imtiaz Suleiman is manages portfolio capital at Sentio Capital. Imtiaz, good evening to you. An update from SPAR. And I mean, I thought that some of the pain might have passed. They're saying that their headline profits per share will actually be down by between 50 and 60%. I mean, that's a very large number for your hips to be down.
Yeah, good evening, Stephen. I think what we're seeing from SPAR is continuous mishaps, and this has been ongoing for a few periods now. The big sort of problem is the KZN distribution center, and that's one of the biggest distribution center that SPAR has within the stable. They had a further development there with regards to logistics issues. They were quite promotional during the Black Friday period, which cost them margin, although they did get some revenue. But if you look at it from an overall basis, SPAR is still struggling to grow meaningfully. Top line was up barely at about 1% in South Africa. Ireland doing a bit better at 3%. But overall, volumes are negative. So we've seen a very tough retail trading environment, and similarly for Pick n Pay, with the exception being ShopRite. And that just speaks to low food inflation, a stretched consumer, and companies that are really struggling to keep up with this difficult environment that we find ourselves in.
The thing about SPAR is that so much of this seems to be going down in KZN. They've had problems with the distribution center there and the SAP rollout. Then they say in this update that there was insufficient planning. I mean, that's what it looked like. I mean, I don't know if that really goes back to the same problem or not. They have a big franchise holder there, which is already suing them over what happened the previous time. And I wouldn't be surprised if other people join that. I just get a sense that this becomes a question, as uncomfortable as it may be, about competence. And in fast-moving retail like that, competence is everything.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid question. And, if you look at SPAR and his historical sort of performance, they've had a number of CEO changes. So the new CEO has only been there for a few months. He was the previous CFO, Marisa Isaacs. So I do think there is a bit of management depth question marks. And you need someone who is really a turnaround specialist to make SPAR work, because there's things that are quite unstable, and to get the distribution center back up to its full capacity is going to take some tough action.
Dis-Chem's results, we just spoke to Roy Moraes. I mean, obviously they're spending a lot of money on the future. It has had a bit of an impact on their results this year.
Yeah, I think it comes down to that. If you look at the overall numbers from a revenue perspective, that was up 9.3%. So quite strong growth from that perspective. But they are investing quite a bit into the business, and this is costing them in terms of the margin, which translates into an earnings decline of 17%. So, whether these investments into the AI capabilities, the life insurance business, the integrated health business that they're trying to build out translates into future and higher profit margins, that's what remains to be seen. If you look at it on this result, the market is looking at all of the spend impacting earnings, And it might be a case of short-term pain for longer-term gain. But until that happens, in the SA environment that we find ourselves in, the market is very unforgiving to any misses in earnings.
And then Aspen, they had a bit of bad luck with a sort of foreign company and an MNRA contract. Now they seem to have had a bit of good luck finally. The universe does sometimes work like that. They got more than they expected for their Asia business.
Yeah, I think Aspen had to effectively sell some of their businesses to deleverage, but they got a good price for the Australian business that they're divesting from. And what this will mean for the business is that essentially it will extinguish all of the debt on the balance sheet. Aspen is historically had higher levels of debt. They will now be in almost a net cash position, and they could use this to grow the business, and especially the manufacturing side, where, as you mentioned, we did suffer from the loss of some of the mRNA contracts. So they can invest into the GLP-1s, which is the weight loss drugs, is where there's lots of demand, and I think there's some good growth from that potentially going forward for them.
It's also, this can really change the trajectory. It is quite a significant amount.
Yeah, certainly. It would bring them into a better position from a financial position perspective, and they do have the capacity to invest in the business and also potentially pay out more dividends to the investors. So I think they should prioritize giving back cash to shareholders rather than making any big acquisitions, because they do have sufficient capacity in the manufacturing business to grow. And then the commercial pharma business is also quite stable, that grows at a decent pace with very good margins.
Imtiaz Suleiman, thanks so much. Really do appreciate the time. The Director and Portfolio Manager at Sentio Capital. Just gone 6:30. Time for the latest Eyewitness News. Sungiswa, good evening. Parliament and the Auditor General.
Yes, Stephen. Parliament's Standing Committee on the Auditor General wants a swifter response to recoup public money lost to corruption. But it's heard that often investigations to trace stolen money cost more than the money lost to graft. The Special Investigating Unit estimates some 26 million rand is recoverable from investigations referred to it by the Auditor General since 2020, and so far recovered just more than 6 million rand. Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke says failing to hold those responsible for corruption accountable before they evade the system is due to accounting officers taking long to initiate disciplinary proceedings. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
The Auditor General has referred 32 material irregularities to the Special Investigating Unit for further probing. 8 of these investigations have been finalised, with 9 ongoing. The Department of Justice is considering motivations for another 9 probes. However, Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke says while the law requires her to make referrals of financial losses worth at least R1 million, the SIU prefers to investigate matters that exceed 2.5 million rand.
And so there is some complexity around how we're going to have to look at what we do with matters that are under 2.5 million rand or even under 10 million, but then still meet the 1 million. And maybe it is time to relook at the 1 million.
Acting Director General for Justice, Calais Pillay, says while the cost of investigations is a factor to consider, especially when involving cash-strapped municipalities, the threshold should not be a prohibiting factor where there's been wrongdoing. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Parliament's Portfolio Committee Chairperson Ian Cameron says it's not enough to suspend a senior police officer for allegedly moonlighting as a taxi operator. Police confirmed Swellendam Police Station Commander Jethro Time was suspended pending an internal investigation earlier this month over links to the Western Cape taxi industry. But Cameron says the rules for cops are clear.
Legislation is clear that SAPS members are not allowed to own or operate taxis. There are no exceptions. They are also not allowed to have outside business interests without proper approval. This is particularly serious because SAPS is regularly required to deal with taxi violence, extortion and organised crime, and you cannot police an industry while having a stake in it.
Cameron adds more decisive action is needed.
It can't just end with internal disciplinary processes. These members should not only be suspended and disciplined, they must be dismissed from the South African Police Service. Criminal cases must be opened and those involved must be arrested, charged, and where evidence supports it, they must be convicted.
And research by education NPO Fundawande has found that learners up to grade 6 are struggling to read for meaning or understand concepts in mathematics. To improve these statistics, the organization has implemented an approach for teachers to take a mother tongue bilingual teaching model. Fundawande released its research findings and suggested solutions in schools in Limpopo and KwaZulu-Natal today. Jabulile Mbata was there.
NPO Fundawande has partnered with Wits University in its study of the benefits of teaching in multilingual classrooms. The organization believes there is a correlation between mother tongue education and peak academic performance. It argues this teaching model goes a long way to fixing poor learning outcomes in foundation and intermediate phase. Wits University's Anthony Essen says their research shows that the issues have reoccurred for years.
By the time learners are in grade 5, some of them still have the knowledge of mathematics of grade 2 learners. So you go to a grade 5 class or a grade 6 class, give them questions that they were supposed to have done in grade 3, they would not be able to answer you.
Fundawande's Julia Maputa says this problem is in part caused by the education department's policies.
So they just progressed without mastery of the relevant skills, precisely because it could be the policy of South Africa that learners are not supposed to repeat twice in each phase. So teachers end up just making them to move forward, even though they can see that they are not ready to can learn the concepts in the higher grade.
The first part of the research focused on schools in KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo, but the two parties want to expand the work to the rest of the country. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
And a quick look at your weather. Gauteng will be partly cloudy tomorrow. Temperatures dropping to overnight lows of between 3 and 5 degrees and peaking at highs of between 22 and 23, while Cape Town is partly cloudy with a gentle southeasterly breeze at a low of 13 and a high of 20. The top story in EWN, Parliament's Standing Committee on the Auditor General wants a swifter response to recoup public money lost to corruption.
EWN Traffic.
Well, let me start in the south of Joburg, where there's bumper-to-bumper traffic heading into Soweto. That's on Chris Hani Road, opposite Bara Hospital. There's also slow-moving traffic still in the Devland area. Devland area on the Golden Highway. That's between the N1 and the N12. Driving towards Bedford View, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic in Edenville, R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange, while in Centurion, heading towards Midrand, traffic a bit sluggish, N1 southbound. That's between the N14 Brakfontein interchange and Ellendale Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Beyond every boardroom is a story waiting to be written. A story of a business and its potential, of a community that thrives, a hospital that serves, and energy that powers millions of dreams. It's a story that only gets better with a partner that has the expertise and solutions to make it a reality. At ABSA CIB, we are invested in your story, and we invite you to write it with us, because your story matters. ABSA, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Aziz Shege, be in the game. Show your love for D-Ski with Hollywood Bets. We're taking the soccer season to new heights. You could win a share of 4 million rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Hilux double cab or Toyota Starlet Cross. All you have to do is bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture online or at your nearest branch. Bet now and strike for glory.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car, and some cars say, I rented the car. Sani Sixt Rent a Car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani Sixt on sani.co.za.
WhatsApp Stephen
on 072
702
1702.
We'll talk about car of the year in a moment. I asked you the best car you've driven. I don't mean the one with the highest performance. I mean the one you've enjoyed the most.
At Bandam, I would drive even steep muddy areas. Only one could escape that. Others, I would leave them behind. But once I hit the CV joint, now it was the end of it. But now I have other cars. It was a good car, small white car, speed indeed. Tex, it was Dago.
Hey, Stephen, your best car is always your first car. It's always the car you had when you were young. The reason that's your best car is because that's the time in your life when you had the least responsibilities, you had the most amount of freedom, but also probably the least amount of money in your bank. But it did not matter because you had little to no responsibilities. So your best car is always the one you had when you were younger. For me, that was an Opel Corsa Light 1.4. It was gold, manual windows, manual steering, no aircon, no ABS, but best time of my life. It's Tumani in Northcliffe.
Tumani, thank you.
Hi, Stephen. It's Sally here. My first car was a Mazda 323 hatchback, beige in color, rusted terribly, but it just kept going. And actually, when I had the opportunity a number of years later to give it to someone, I did. And they used it for a number of years, and then they passed it on to someone else. And right now, I don't know where it ended up, but it lasted a number of families. First in Rondebosch, then in Crawford, then in Khayelitsha, and just kept going despite the rust. Amazing car.
Oh, there's a Netflix miniseries there, isn't there? There really is. I love the story about the white Opel Corsa. I had a friend when I was young who also had one of those, and he said it was the most boring car he had ever driven, so he called it Kevin, which I was like, wow, that's quite something. I thought that was very good. 20 minutes now to 7.
EWN Sport.
Anthony Teixeira, I don't know if this is a personal question. Have you ever given a car a name?
I have indeed. It was my first car, a little green Golf, and her name was Shirley. Shirley, after the main lawyer from Boston Legal.
Yes,
this is from years and years ago.
Boston Legal.
Yeah, Shirley. She was the love of my life. Absolutely.
Candace Bergen, I think it was.
Yes, it was indeed.
Yes.
Actually, I drove Shirley everywhere, and then my mother got her stolen. She parked outside of the house and it got taken.
Mrs. Teixeira, really.
I know, right? I still hold it over her all these years later.
I'm sure. I always feel like we need a moment. Bafana, big send-off.
Yeah, big send-off happening at Orlando Stadium with Bafana right now up against Nicaragua in that final game. It remains goalless after 35 minutes there. They, of course, will be departing for the FIFA World Cup come Sunday. While the European season comes to a close tomorrow, Arsenal in the first Champions League final in 20 years up against the title holders PSG. Here's Gunners boss Mikel Arteta.
We're going to prepare that game with the intention to win and write a new story in the club's history, that's for sure. We know what it's going to mean. We need to earn it. We need to prepare so well. I'm really confident that we're going to get there in the best possible place. And it's going to be for 90 minutes showtime at the biggest stage that you can play in club competition against a tough opponent.
Well, there is tennis on the go right now, where we, of course, see Novak Djokovic on court against João Fonseca. He's lost the third set 6-3, meaning he's still 2-1 up. On the court as well, Alex de Minaur is a set to the good against Minchik, while Casper Ruud and Tommy Paul have started their match. We've also seen in the last hour, Elina Svitolina through to the fourth round, as well as Rafa Jorda. In cricket, the Gujarat Titans need to chase down 215 against the Rajasthan Royals in order to make Sunday's IPL final, while the Rugby World has the URC quarterfinals beginning tonight with the Glasgow Warriors against Connacht. South African sides all playing tomorrow. The Bulls up against Munster at Loftus. Coach Johan Ackerman celebrated Ruan Nokia, who receives 150th cap.
It's a massive milestone for any player to play 150 games for a union, and that's obviously excluding probably a lot of Springbok games and other games. But just the quality of a man. I can see why he's played 150 matches, because a team player and a player that any coach, I'm sure, will pick just because of his character.
For the Stormers, they set to tackle Cardiff at the DHL Stadium, with coach John Dobson explaining why he went for a 6-2 bench.
There is a slight, always with the 6-2, is a slight risk if one of your backs goes down early, but we have got a bit of, Damien can play everywhere, Skips go off, and Imi is very comfortable in the wing, so it gives us a little bit of, Yuri to 10, Sasha can go anywhere.
Arguably the toughest task befalls the Lions as they have to head to the Viva and take on the defending champ Leicester. That's 9 p.m. tomorrow evening. The Blitzboks capped off the opening day of the Valladolid Sevens with a 14-0 win over Kenya, while tomorrow they end their pool stage against Australia. In contrast, the Springbok women will head into the final pool clash against Fiji on the back of losses to the Australians and the Americans. And the MotoGP is out in Italy with the race Sunday 2 p.m. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
That's Kefense, before she got naked. Kefense's premium went up twice last year, and she was more confused than when her ex said, "I need to find myself," and then found somebody else. So Kefense got naked. She got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Good for you, Kefense. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
At Dis-Chem, we're bringing you better health this winter and helping you save even more. Swipe your Better Rewards card and save 31 Rand on Grandpa Headache Powders. 38 sticks, now only 79 Rand 91. And get 2+1 cheapest free on Vicks products. Look out for the yellow label to shop Better Rewards brands in-store and online. And get 10% off instantly on top of the promo price. Offers valid until 14 June at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
Small businesses are anything but small. They're the backbone of our communities, the dreamers, the doers, the ones who keep Mzansi moving forward. That's why 702 and Capitec Business Banking are putting them in the spotlight. Every Thursday between 6 and 8 p.m., catch Small Business Focus with Capitec, where we showcase the hustle, heart, and the secrets to thriving in today's economy. Your vision matters, and with Capitec, you're never building it alone. Small Business Focus with Capitec, the business bank for everyone. Thursdays between 6 and 8 p.m. on 702. Capitec Bank is an authorized FSP 46669.
The Money Show.
The Friday File.
The Friday File.
Don't forget the Friday Biz Blitz in about 10 minutes from now. As you're about to start the weekend, what kind of car are you going to spend it in? I mean, is there a small runabout and that's the only car in the family? Do you have a massive SUV that you used to put the family in, but now you don't because you save it for weekends because the petrol's been so bad? News this week, in fact, that the Guild of Motoring Journalists has decided the car of the year is the Jetour T2. It is what it sounds like. It's a large SUV. I think the real story, though, is that it's part of a Chinese brand that's been moving so strongly in South Africa. The Vice President of Jetour South Africa is Nick Campbell. Nick, good evening. I mean, I don't know if the naming was deliberate, but when I first heard the phrase T2, I was at school, and it was about the movie Terminator 2, and your car really does look like something out of that movie. It's massive and it's tough.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I haven't heard that expression before, but I guess now that you say it, yes, that does make sense. The T2 is quite a large SUV and seems to be making some waves in South Africa, which is great news for us.
What do you think there is about it that's helped you to compete so strongly? I mean, obviously price is a big factor. Are there other things that stand out as well?
Definitely. I think the tech-laden interior cabin definitely plays a part on that. The term all the bells and whistles, it really does have all the bells and whistles. It's a large boxy SUV, but it also has sleek lines on it. And it's kind of a vehicle that South African consumers can use in their everyday life and also on the weekends to complement their weekend activities.
So I'm not one of those people who wants to drive with an iPad in front of me. I do understand that I might be in a minority there, and people do like that. So that's a big thing. I mean, what does it do that a car 5 years ago wouldn't do? Why is the big screen so important?
So I think in today's times with the traffic and all of that, a lot of people, the first thing they do when they get on their cars is switch on the GPS. So we've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, so it connects seamlessly and straight away as you get into the vehicle. You can also configure your screen to kind of have half the screen with your maps, your Waze or your Google Maps, the other half with maybe your calendar to see where your next meeting is going to be, and then of course to have your music on the screen. And it's all conveniently placed so that it's one touch away and kind of accessible so that you don't have to take your eyes off the road. It is a fairly large screen. We do in our range have vehicles that do have a smaller screen, so there are two sizes for customers to choose depending on the variant that you purchase.
And I mean, is that the first thing that people play with when they go into the showroom? I imagine for a lot of people, I mean, if you've never seen a screen that size in a car, and frankly, I've never driven a car with a screen that size, that's probably the first thing you see. I imagine the first feature in the cockpit that stands out.
Definitely. I think it is something that's very, very prominent in the vehicle. But I think the way the vehicle is designed and how everything is set out, in the cabin, it actually complements the cabin. You've got very large seats. You've got kind of as you get in. On the top of the range, they've got electronic seats which have memory on it, so that as you open the door, the seat will move back, so that it allows you enough space to get in. Once you close the door and start it, the seat will move forward into a position that you've set it. Start button right there, and then the screen is there. You've got a nice cluster in the front and a really premium finish on the inside, so that every customer can enjoy their drive.
So, I mean, I mentioned that price matters, and I think it really does. How have you been able to? I mean, I think the attraction possibly is that people thought they would never get a car like that for what they could afford. You've suddenly sort of helped them do that. How have you been able to lower the price? And I mean, this really is, Nick, and I think you know this, we're getting to the sort of heart of the Chinese car story at the moment. How have you been able to do that?
So I think with Chinese products, and certainly with our brand coming out of an extremely large group in China, there's definitely the economies of scale. And the Jetour brand, as the fastest growing brand globally, the fastest growing brand in South Africa currently, has won multiple awards for their vehicles globally. We get those economies of scale, and we're just able to manufacture cars that people want. We are very customer centric, customer focused organization. We listen to our customers. We take into consideration what they want, what they like, what they don't like. And I think our ability and our agility to produce vehicles globally allows us to manufacture and design cars at a price point that we know that people will be attracted to. I mean, a vehicle purchase now is probably a household's second or third biggest purchase, and it's a really important decision. So it's important for us to listen to customers, make sure that we have the features that they want, and really, really good looking cars, if I do say so myself.
How quick is the product cycle? I mean, there was a time when, a big car manufacturer would sort of look 10 years out. Obviously, you're not doing that. I mean, a car like this would have been designed, what, 3-4 years ago?
Correct. Yeah, it's around 4 years ago. Of course, in South Africa, we don't get vehicles when they come out of China, for example, as a left-hand drive, and other markets, bigger markets than us. They produce there first. We come later on down the product cycle, but the R&D department coming out of our HQ is always redesigning, relooking, rejigging, making sure that we keep up to breast, and there will be either new products, new iterations of the product, facelift models, etc. Kind of within good intervals. Obviously, understanding in South Africa that a lot of people finance their vehicles, and we've got to be cognizant of that. It's quite kind of a long-term purchase, usually 4 to 5 years. But we will always stay abreast of what we need to do and make sure that we bring the latest and greatest that's on offer out of HQ.
So one of the reasons that prices are low, and I say this through sort of, watching the situation a little bit, I'm not an expert on the car industry, is there's been overcapacity in car manufacturing in China, very difficult to actually sell cars in China right now. I must say this is often for models smaller than this, and in fact a lot smaller than this. Do you think you'll be able to hold this price, or do you think this is going to be the time that you have to buy because prices might start to creep up?
So our strategy is a long-term strategy in South Africa, being a right-hand drive market, being a big market. I mean, the South African car market is fairly big in terms of the volume of vehicles that we do. And as far as economic factors allow us, we don't ever plan to ramp up prices. We always plan to offer fair pricing, fair to value, making sure that we keep the value in the vehicles so that we can protect the secondhand car market, protect those cars coming back later on, and just make sure that we stay as competitive as we can in the market. All things considered, a lot of economic factors out there, a lot of fluctuations out there in terms of exchange rates and all of that. But no, the long-term plan is to ensure that we stay relevant in the market and ensure that we can bring the quality in for the South African consumer at a price that matches what the vehicle is and matches the pocket of the customer.
Nick Campbell, thanks very much indeed, and congratulations. Nick Campbell is the Vice President of Jetour South Africa, the car of the year, as decided by the Guild of Motoring Journalists of South Africa, the Jetour T2. I've never driven one, but it is not a small car. Okay, it is not a small car, but that is the car of the year. 6 minutes now to 7.
Stephen Grootes.
Taking your calls
On 011-883-0702.
Time now for the Friday Biz Blitz. That is the number. You know how this works. We put out a question. If you get it right, you call us on 011-883-0702 and 021-446-0567. If you get it right, we move on to the next question. If you get it wrong, we move on to the next caller. First question in the Friday Biz Blitz. Bafana are now due to play the first South African men's World Cup match since 2010. Do you remember the team that denied us a place in the knockout stage in 2010? Do you remember the heartbreak? Which team kicked us out of the World Cup in 2010? 011-883-0702, 021-446-0567.
From the people who know FICA best, Encino KYC invites you to the 2026 Fighting Financial Crime Conference. Join top prosecutors, investigators, and compliance leaders for a day of real-world case studies, practical strategies, and powerful networking. 24th of June in Johannesburg, and tickets are on sale now. Simply Google Encino Fighting Financial Crime. That's NCINO. Proudly brought to you by Encino KYC. Fighting financial crime isn't just talk, it's what we do every day.
As operating environments become more unpredictable, flexibility is becoming a key driver of business performance. The ability to scale, adapt, and manage costs effectively is no longer optional. Workforce Staffing partners with businesses across sectors to deliver workforce solutions that support continuity and efficiency. Plus, they operate across South Africa, Africa, and the Middle East. Find out more at workforcestaffing.co.za, the preferred staffing partner.
In the world of finance, manufacturing, and mining, automating business processes is a crucial factor in stimulating an organization's growth and bottom line. Zoe Projects and Consulting, a specialized process engineering and automation firm, offers comprehensive data and business systems analysis to optimize your company's processes, to save time, reduce costs, and better efficiency. Go to zoeprojects.co.za and get in touch with Zoe Projects and Consulting today.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Business Banking. Payment habits have changed. Convenience decides the sale. Stay ahead with real-time payments, seamless checkout, and smarter fraud tools.
The Money Show, Friday Biz Blitz.
First question on the Friday Biz Blitz. Bafana playing their first men's Football World Cup match since 2010. Do you remember the team that denied us a place in the knockout stage in 2010? Shamil in Houghton, how's it?
Hi, how are you, Stephen?
I'm well, Shamil. Do you remember?
Unfortunately, yes, it was Uruguay.
Oh, Shamil. such bad memories, man. Took me straight back to that day. Okay, here we go. Next question. Which maker of sports cars has decided to go electric? And the result is shocking. So shocking, nobody likes it. Shamil?
Ferrari.
Shamil? You like sports cars? You know your stuff?
I hope so.
Okay, cool. Okay, this is a very different question, Shamil. I'll be very impressed if you get it first off, okay? Because it might require a little bit of thought. Here we go. Why is everyone going to be using the phrase $580,000 next week? Why is everyone going to be talking about the phrase $580,000?
Value of Bitcoin.
That's a great guess. And I'll give you another guess, because it wasn't right, Shamil, but I'll give you another guess, but it was a great guess. Why is everyone going to be using the phrase $580,000?
Share price of SpaceX.
Another great guess, Shamil, but I'm afraid not. Sorry, Shamil. Let's go to Sicko in Boksburg. Sicko is short for Sikonati.
No, actually, that's the name.
Okay, Sicko. Why are we all going to be talking about the phrase $580,000 next week? I'll give you one guess. I do have a clue for you.
My guess would be it would be the amount or the value of the dollar compared to our market.
No. Here's the clue, Sicko.
Yes, sir.
It involves a couch. You're going to kick yourself, Sicko. It involves a couch. $580,000, and it involves a couch.
Kevin, I think I'll pass it.
Oh, Sicko, you are going to kick yourself, my friend. I have to tell you. Sorry, Sicko. Okay, $580,000, and it involves a couch. Oh, come on. I think we're getting there. Faisal and Houghton, do you know?
Hi, Stephen, yes.
Yeah?
This is the amount of money, the dollar amount, it was allegedly found in the couch, the Pala Pala farm.
Faisal, yes!
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Faisal and Houghton, yes indeed, you win the Friday Biz Blitz, $580,000 in the Pala Pala couch. That's where it came from. Thanks for playing with us tonight. Really did enjoy that. 7 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good evening, I'm Zingisa Cherwa. The Correctional Services Department has dismissed claims that more than 28,000 high-risk parolees have absconded. The department was responding to a Mapungane investigation that found thousands of parolees, including convicted murderers, rapists and armed robbers, are untraced by the Correctional Services staffers assigned to monitor them. The publication reported that fewer than 1,000 prison officials are responsible for monitoring approximately 44,000 parolees across the country. A Mapungane reporter, Oren Singh.
The Department of Correctional Service has done away with what they called tracking and tracing units. These were units within the department that had the sole responsibility of actively going out and looking for parolees who have absconded.
Meanwhile, Correctional Services spokesperson Singabako Nxumalo says staff complement of 1,764 officials are responsible for supervising parolees and probationers. He adds reports that the department has abandoned efforts to trace absconders are incorrect.
The tracking and tracing teams were reinstated by the current National Commissioner to say that we still need those teams because there is work to be done. It may have been closed previously due to resource issues, although even the situation has not changed much in terms of the budgetary constraint, but it's a team that you need across all provinces.
Higher Education and Training Minister Buti Manamela has come under fire from MPs who accuse him of political interference following his decision to dissolve the National Student Financial Aid Scheme Board. Members of the Higher Education Committee have also raised serious concerns about how Manamela held a meeting with the dissolved board without a prior notice and with no agenda. But Namela has defended his decision, saying he was empowered by law to make the move. Babalondense reports.
Minister Buti Manamela was back before the committee after previously failing to meet with MPs who demanded answers about his decision. Manamela